Welcome to this evening's Mars Anomalies and Beyond podcast. What's going on, everyone? Oh, yeah. Gotta love it. Got to love it. Why am I sound like I'm... Let me get this right here. Why did that go on? Okay. Figured it out. Push and hold that. Get that off there. Well, I sound like Mickey Mouse there for a second. I went on auto-tune. I'm like, that don't sound right, does it? Whoop. There he is. Alrighty then. What is going on, everyone? I'll tell you what. Sometimes you just want to throw the computer right out the window. For some reason, this thing was dragging, right? I'm like, okay. It happens over the course of time with any PC, even a phone. You have to restart them and everything else. So I said, well, it's about a half hour, maybe 40 minutes before the live podcast. I'm like, let me just go ahead and just restart the computer. Was that a mistake? And like half the icons wouldn't come on. This thing was just acting goofy as heck. I'm just going to have to do a total reset on this thing. So what I did is I went on my other computer, which I monitor the live feed, make sure it's all working well. I went on the computer and said, hey, guys, just be patient. I'm having some difficulties here. As soon as it's booted up, we'll get online, get onto the podcast, and here we are. So you got to love it. Got to love it. Like I said, it's always going to be fun trying to reset the computer. Just reset it to factory, but then have to put everything back into it. But sometimes that's what it takes, right? Yeah, we can use the axe too there, Oliver. Oh, my God. Yeah, it's always, like I said, it's always a fun time. Daniel Lee, what's in there? Do a little roll call. Let's see. Pete Ferrero's in there. Says Buffalo, New York. Here, lunchtime treat. 80 degrees. We're about 90, 91 here with 60% humidity, so it's 102. It's showing 102 heat index. Planetary Protector, what's happening? Good to see you in there as well. Mimi Reacts, good to have you in there as always. Renee V, good to have you in there. So Chris in chat, waving a little hand there. Wild Mountain Bear says, hello, everyone. I'm looking forward to today's live event. Man, it came this close. I'm just like, man, this thing better work. I don't know about you folks. I'm the kind of guy that says, listen, it either better work or it's going out the window. There is no in between. So I'm like, come on, let's go. Worst case scenario, I could just jump on the other computer if I had to. Let's say this thing just went down. Not a problem. Like I said, I can always go on the other computer, just go straight to or through YouTube as opposed to my my recording software and things like that, right? So, yeah. But anyway, it was giving me an ass whooping earlier, so we won. We got the best of it. Like I said, hello, Oliver Klein. Good to have you in there. AKA man. Good to be back. Hello, Chris. What's going on, AKA? What's good to see you in there. I'm not sure what that is. Upscale Sky. And if I'm pronouncing it or saying that wrong, please correct me. It said Mercury is in retrograde until 15th of September when it will go direct. So there's that. Okay, awesome. It's always good to throw that in there if people don't know that. Let's see. DJ. All right, 637. Big hugs and high fives, everyone. Right back at you. Air 5. Mr. Mike Knapp, what's happening? Says, hi, y'all. Good to have you in there. Paula Aguilar. I'm sorry if I messed it up. Whittier, California. Good to have you in there. Maybe, yeah, you're not kidding. Talk about a butcher job, right? He said, Chandrayans, depending on how you pronounce that. Threes, the first moon pictures look super Photoshop. They look like super garbage. Miguel, what's happening? Good to see you in there. From Argentina. That's awesome. Good to have you in there as well. Yeah, I took a quick look at these things, and truthfully, I got on there. Like I said, this thing was giving me complete problems. I was like trying to get things together, and I said, well, I'll just go ahead and, just do a quick restart. Wasn't quick, as you can see. It was, half hour late? But either way, pretty much lost what I was going to go on with, but it's not a big deal. There's always something to talk about, you know that. So, yeah. N62 BMW says from OC, California. Oh, no, somebody else from Cali. Good to have everybody in there. Steve, hot summer afternoon, guys, girls, fellow aliens. Yeah, it's pretty warm. It's not too bad. Yeah, pretty toasty. It's supposed to get warmer and warmer here. It's supposed to be only in the low 90s, though. It's not supposed to be too bad. I don't know about you folks, but where it's usually super hot, we hit at least at 3 digits, right? And we haven't seen 3 digits, like 100-degree mark, unless it was heat index-wise. But as far as regular temperatures, I can't remember the last time we've seen it. Last couple of years, anyway. Mick Gustafsson. Gustav? No, I know there's no son, but son. Hi, Chris and everyone. It's been quite a while since I've been on here. Yes, it has, Mick, but good to have you in there. Almost didn't make it in there myself. Yeah, Mimi, there you go. It was the summer of tiny disclosure and a whole lot of crap. Of course. I'll drink that. MG Toe, good to have you in there as well. Howdy from Seek Beach, California. Oh, man, they're just racking up here on the West Coast. Good to have all these in there. Elaine Millard, what's going on? I said, of course, you got Crystal in as well. Hi, Chris and everyone. Hope you're all doing okay. I am. Hope you're doing well as well. Like I said, I was going to jump in here no matter what. I did make a promise on my last video, so here we are. And incidentally, when this live feed is over, I don't know if we'll be doing the 4 hours because I got other things to do this afternoon. However, there'll be a video I'm going to just go ahead and post immediately after this. So I was going to put it on prior, and I'm going, well, I don't want to mess everybody up, so I said I'll just put it on after. And I think you'll like this one. Basically we know that NASA, all these other space agencies lie about, what they're really finding on these moons, planets, whatever. And the UAE is no different. United Arab Emirates, they're no different. And so this next video is going to, definitely show that. And you'll see what I'm talking about. It's pretty neat. So I break it down to show that and some other weird thing going on there as well. I just don't want to give it away. If I give it away, then it gives it away. But really, really cool. So that's coming up directly after this Hangout. So you guys can stay tuned right after that because I'm going to just hit go public, go. So it'll be on, like I said, immediately after. Oh, you put, okay, MG Toe. I was going to say the Seek Beach. I wasn't familiar with that, but Seal Beach, okay. Makes a little more sense. Good to have you in there as well anyway. The Russian Lyric crashed, but we don't know if that's true. That's true, absolutely. And how do we know this? Because we can't see, unless you're literally monitoring exactly where this thing is going, and you can see it for yourself. How do we know? We don't. And that next video also kind of goes into that as well, because the average public can't see what these folks are seeing up close with these orbiters, spacecrafts, whatever, right? Moonman says, hello from Istanbul. What's going on, man? That's awesome. Do you use a telescope and look at the moon as well, or just look at photos of the moon? Just curious. Shane Wallace, what's going on? Yeah, love your talent. Been a fan for years. Got lots of pictures I took myself in amazing anomalies. Well, I appreciate that, Shane. And that's good that you do that. See, I've always said this. I said, listen, I love the idea of people when they see what I show other people, when they see it and they go, you know what, I want to find this out for myself. Now, whether you have a telescope, you decide to look at the moon yourself, or you decide to jump into these photos yourself, that's what it's all about. To get other people to think and go, is this guy really telling the truth or he's just blowing smoke? That's what I love about people questioning. Find out for themselves. Go into these photos yourself and go, either A, I don't know why, I just can't see it, or B, 100% this thing is there. Now, a lot of times people don't, enhance a photo like I would. And, a lot of people are using AI, and we'll get into that. There's a time and place for the AI, not always. In fact, I was talking to the real Jimmy Roberts, where he uses, I asked him which one he's using, and he's using the same one I'm using that I decided to start experimenting with. And I found, depending on how you tweak it and depending on the photo, meaning how much has been manipulated, it can be good or it can be bad. And like I said, we'll get into that. And that's okay. Yeah. So Pete was just saying the same thing because I just seen somebody say, yeah. I hope he answers it, Pete. Roberts uses AI to point out items on Mars. What do you think on his approach? I think it's a great approach. Like I said, my only problem with it is after experimenting, doing different levels, there's 4 ways you can do it. In other words, they've got like high def, low res, one that says paint and something else, photos or something like that. But if you try each one, it will have to be. Some of them, you'll change that depending on the photo. So in other words, if you get one that's really, low res, you can use that. If you don't, everything just looks really incredibly lousy. So you have to figure out what filter to use with that particular photo. Now, if it's a really good photo and it looks pretty darn good, I mean realistic, where there's not a whole lot of manipulation, it looks fantastic. The second you get something that's super censored out and everything else, it will literally feather the edges of rocks. So, and again, you can also change that going through different filters. So what I found is it's a great tool. However, if there's little minor details in that, this thing, the AI will actually cover it up. So is it good or is it bad? If you just want to make a photo better, meaning what's cool about this thing is you can zoom in and it still keeps it from breaking up. So it's a really good tool for that. So if you're looking at something in the background, it will literally bring it out better where you can zoom out, or I should say zoom in, and you can really get a good quality photo. However, like I said, going back, if it hasn't been really, really bad censored, because it can actually compound it or it can help. It depends. So in AI is good in some ways it's not so good. In fact, Jimmy was saying that, you got to kind of like, he said, you got to kind of fool with the filters and stuff, which I was already doing anyway, and that's why I asked him. I said, which one are you using? And he told me, in fact, I'll tell you folks, it's Topaz AI. And he said, yeah, I'm using the same one. You just have to just, kind of fool with it and, for starters, check up, which I was already doing. And I haven't done any in my videos yet because I'm not so sure this is the right tool. Now, I think it's like $100 to get this thing, but I'm going, okay, so I need to know if this thing's going to show the details that I want to show in these photos. In other words, I don't want to see anything missing out of these. So what do? So I'll run it through its courses, and paces and everything else and see what we can find. And then I'm going to do my own way. Is it hiding details or is it showing better detail? That's the key. And again, it depends on the photo. I've taken some real trashy photos and put them in there. It isn't worth, 3 cents, to be truthful with you. And then when you get some really good photos, it really does enhance the actual quality, so it's even better. It looks super clear, right? But the idea for me using AI is to try to pull out what's really in the photo, because it says you can get rid of the blur when you do it. So try to see through the blur. That's not entirely true. It does not. It will help, actually, it shows up the actual squared off area that's been purposely blurred, right? But it doesn't really cut through it per se. So is it better than the enhancement I do? I don't think so. I really don't. AI is good, and it's very good on some things, and I will be doing some videos on that to show you, because like I said, it does enhance some of the good qualities, and it makes them better. So yes, absolutely, it can be used, but is it really good for low quality, which I was hoping to do? And like I said, the benefit to it is when you zoom way in, you can literally, it will put it together for you, and it looks really good zoomed in. So it does have its benefits, but it's got its downfalls. All right, let's see. lot of people have commented on here since then, so let's see what we got here. Cameron, what's going on? Good to see you in there. He said, how are you today, Chris? I'm doing well. Good to always see you in there, Cameron. Let's see. Oliver, he said they shot it down, I guess when you talked about when they crashed. N62 BMW says, I would like to know your thoughts about the spider-looking arms coming out of the crater on our moon, if you've heard of it. I'm not so sure that I have, so I can't say yea or nay. But you said you are using a telescope, which is awesome. If there's a way I can, see the photos that you have, I'd like to check them out. I might have seen some of the areas that you've covered, and I'm just not sure. In other words, if I looked at the photo, would I say it looks like spider arms? Is it possible in some of these craters we have like machinery going into them and back out of them? So, my thinking is, because everybody says the moon is hollow, is it possible that some of these machines, it could be anything from, energy producing machines and powering up under the underground, and this is the reason why you see what looks like things going from something outside a crater wall to the inside of the crater and down into it. So is it possible that that's what it is? Energy producing, so on and so forth. It's always speculation, pure speculation. We don't know. But I've seen many things that look like craters in and outside these crater walls. Some of them are really awesome where they look like giant structures, and you can literally bring these out. There's no way these things are craters or boulders because, we're talking about the LROC, where it's 75 miles off of the, lunar, surface. So, people go, oh, it's a boulder. I went, from 75 miles up? Must be one hell of a size of a boulder. So when you get into these photos, and I mean really close into them, you can find some bizarre stuff and really cool stuff, Mimi, he said, Chris, have you heard about NASA's plan to build a satellite dish inside a moon crater? No, I haven't, to be honest with you. But it wouldn't surprise me because it would probably be a relay station. Because I remember, wasn't it China that said they were going to do that first? Now, they do have a satellite of their own. I believe it's China. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. But when they were landing their, I believe, lander and maybe a rover, I'm not 100% sure, but I remember hearing about they were going to have their own satellite, orbiting the moon so that they can relay, because they were going to be on the backside of the moon, and they were going to relay the information back, and that was the only way to do it, because obviously line of sight, you won't have it because the moon's tidal locked, and you cannot, obviously send a message through it. So this is the reason for them having a satellite so they can relay and then straight to Earth. It wouldn't surprise me. It's just a relay station. They were saying everything from having Wi-Fi on the moon. So this way here, when they do set up a base, obviously it's much easier to communicate. So it doesn't surprise me. I didn't read it, so I'm being truthful. But I'm not a bit surprised at all. Alusta says, hello all. What's going on? Good to have you in here. Me. Good to have you in there. You said, I just got the notification after 15 minutes. Well, don't feel bad. We got on late anyway. I got on about 1:30 because I was about ready to take a hammer to my computer. But other than that, we're great. So, yeah, we're having technical difficulties. So this thing's going to get like a complete douche. Have to just restart this thing or just go from factory, just go over it again. Again, it happens. It's just the way they are. It's just the nature of the beast when you own computers, phones, and everything else. So, yeah, it's always a joy. Lee Herring, what's going on? Good to see you in there, man. You said, happy Labor Day, guys. I say that the same thing to everybody else, except for myself. I'll be working, of course. So, yeah, it won't be too much fun for me. But on the other side of the token, I always wish somebody, everybody else a happy Labor Day as well. Everybody be cooking on the barbie. And I think I'll get out early anyway, so I can do the same thing and just throw some steaks in the barbie and kick back, right? Oliver Klein, you said, have old pictures with a shuffle loader and some transport belt rail systems in the crater. Yeah, then you know which one I'm talking about because we've done this ourselves, where we looked at a close look and it looks like some kind of crane type thing, some kind of equipment outside, as well as inside these craters, right? Mr. Liberty, what's happening? You said, hi, Chris. Good job as always. The moon has always been a mystery. It has. And because it's our closest neighbor, this is the reason why it gets scrutinized, right? Yeah, Mimi said, and it will be on the far side of the moon. Not suspicious at all. So that tells me if they're doing that, then they're going to have to do the same thing, right? Is it possible, and you may agree with this, I think a lot of people will, if you're putting up a good-sized dish like the one we have, like right behind me, okay? If you have that, if you have that, then what's going to happen is, one, they can use it multi-purpose. One will be to listen outside, okay? Now, I didn't read an article, so I don't know what this says, if it even says what I'm going to say. Not that, but excuse me. Will they be listening for other civilizations? Think about it. No noise from Earth, other side of the moon, and that will make sense. Two, again, they either will be using, well, the second purpose may be to uplink into China's, satellite, or they're going to have their own and then relay it back, because they'd have to do that. So they're either going to be in, they're going to cooperate with China to use their relay satellite, or they'll put their own up there. So it's going to probably be a dual purpose, maybe even more. But that's the two things I can see that come to my mind as far as like listening to outside for civilizations. Again, no noise from Earth, on the other side of the moon, looking directly out or listening directly out. That would make sense. This way you can completely, like Harley. So if you think about it, you go, okay, so if I'm listening out there, there's absolutely zero noise, static, ghost signals, whatever it may be, there'll be zero. So I like that idea, but will they tell the truth? Because we know they don't lie, so clearly they will. Yeah. Glenn Judd, what's happening? Great. We are back on live. Yes, we are, Glenn. Good to have you in there. Oh, you are too, Hanley. You said you're working as well. I feel you. Trust me. Alien says, hi, Chris. What's going on, Alien? Good to have you in there. ZZ KJBRY says, hi, Chris. Happy Labor Day. Same to you. Like I said, I'll be working, but that doesn't mean I don't mind saying happy Labor Day to everybody else, and I hope everybody they can kick back. And like I said, I'm going to probably do the same. Come out early. Relatively speaking, just kick back. It'll be a nice day. Although it'll be warm, but I don't care. That's what it's all about, right? AKA Man says, Chris, you are one of the better tweakers. That don't sound good. Man, I'm tweaking, man. I won't name names. When it comes to showing the truth hidden by NASA, great work. I appreciate that, man. Like I said, I think everybody brings their own flavor to the table, right? So everybody will do things differently, and they'll go, hey, listen, this is what I see. Like my buddy Will would say, I see what I see, you see what you see. And it's a great saying, because sometimes people won't see what I see and vice versa. And that's okay. It's not, when I do the videos, it's not to bang it in your skull and say, believe what I say. It's about saying, look, this is what I brought out. What do you folks think? And if you do your own work with any kind of enhancement software, then you tell me what you think after you've enhanced it, because people will drop their comments after, right? So that's what it's all about. It's not about to cram it down your throat, because that's not what this channel's about. It's about, hey, look at this, what I found. This doesn't look natural. Maybe it does. Give me your thoughts, and there you go. That's pretty much what it comes down to, right? Let me see. Marcel, what's happening? Good to see you there. Peace. Good to have you in there as well, like I said. John P. Adventures, what's happening? Good to have you in there. A little heart in the hands. Oliver Klein, you said they did construction up there. Oh, I have no doubt of that. Mimi, I didn't see the link. You said I posted the link. And you also said, Chris, that's exactly what I think they'll do. Rogo, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that. Probably completely butchered that, but good job, you said. I appreciate that. Equalize, what's happening? He said, hi, Chris, everyone. Great hangout. Funny how Russia crashed and India landed. Putin must have gone nuts. Didn't get disoriented by the Black Project U.S. space entity. Yeah. Yeah, I find that interesting. I mean, if I was going to send something up and I went, listen, okay, what's the best way to do this? Because I don't want to have to show the public any of this that we're going to be. So I would just say it crashed. How would you know whether it crashed or not? Unless you're literally looking at the spot that's, let's say they want to land on the part of the moon that's facing Earth or Mars, because obviously people with really big telescopes can see, like the ones at the observatories. So if we wanted to see, like an explosion, same thing with on the moon. If you were literally looking super close and you see this thing land, you can just see like a dust or a flash or whatever it may be. Then you go, oh, wow, they really did crash. How would you know? Well, if we tell you it crashed, we can do our scientific work and not have to say anything to our public, meaning their own people in their own country, nor anybody else in the world. We're covered. How would you know? Listen, again, these people are not going buck wild over here, going to the Mars and the moon and everything else just because it just sounds like the thing to do. No, there's a reason for it. And if you're going to spend multi-billions of dollars to do this, I think it should be justified. There's got to be a reason for it, right? Oh, put that up there. Me. Or me, depending on how you pronounce it, or what you're showing there. He said, I don't see what you see because my phone's too small. This is the reason why I recommend, if you have a TV and you can cast it onto your TV, I would cast it on your TV and you'll see it much, much larger. It'll definitely help. Or use one of these little jeweler's pieces, the little eyepieces, or a magnifying glass looking at your phone. A lot of times people say, well, I can zoom into it. I wouldn't zoom into it because the first thing it'll do is start breaking up. When you use a magnifier or an eyepiece, it makes a world of difference. But if you can cast it onto your TV, it'd be much better. I know a lot of people have said the same thing, and I would totally agree with you. I'd go, I don't see what the heck this guy's talking about. How does he see that? The phone's way too small. It's like trying to watch. Remember back, and the people that are somewhere around my age will understand what I'm saying. Back in the 80s, they came out with a watch. It was pretty big. It was probably about the size of this, maybe a hair bit bigger, right? You can see the difference in it. It was literally a TV. But what it is they have a cord that would plug into the side of it, and it'd be like a Walkman. You'd put it on your side, and you'd have headphones, and you would watch a game. How would you see a baseball or the field or anything on that? But they just wanted to say, hey, I can prove we can make it. The technology's there. Did a fantastic job, right? So when I went like this, I went, man, I thought about getting one of those. I went, what the hell would I do that for? You can't see anything on that damn. There's no way. So, yeah, it becomes a problem. John P. Adventure says, glad to be here, Chris. Cheers. Hope all is going well. Thanks for everything. And Jimmy and our Aussie friend. Oh, yeah, of course. Listen, there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of good people out there that do good work. Like I said, every channel can disagree with each other, and it doesn't matter to me. Now, I'm usually on board with anything like Jean does, Jimmy does. Now, do you see the same thing he sees, just like I just said about my channel? Do you see everything I see? Probably not, okay? But I leave it up to the viewer to say, okay, I'm seeing it, or maybe I'm seeing things different compared to what Chris is seeing, and that's what it's all about, to do your own research and come up with your own conclusion, right? It's not about forcing. It's about just saying, hey, this is what I found. What do you guys think? Fahim says, hello, sir, from, and of course, Karachi City of Pakistan, 11 p.m. at night. Man, I was hoping to get on a little bit early so people wouldn't they wouldn't have to be up that late. But I get you. I understand. But I appreciate you being here, Fahim. I do. That's awesome. Oliver, you said they sitting on the moon playing on others. Well, that could be. But I strongly believe they never stopped going to the moon. If your initial reason for going to the moon was to, research what you found on the moon, because like I said, it had to have started from just a telescope, They looked closer at the moon and said, "Whoa, what is that?" Or after sending the LRO, whatever it may be, it got you interested in what's up on the moon. So if you went up there with the intentions of, listen, we're going to get back as much information as we can, because by God, this stuff is not ours, and it's been on the moon probably for thousands or millions of years. We need to get up there. You're not going to stop, because you're going to go up there, you're going to investigate it. How can we actually stay here with more time and really analyze the metal, the functionality, the reason it's there, how long has it been there? You're going to go on and on and on and try to figure this out. You can't do that in a 5-day Apollo trip, okay? Or whatever, how many days, depending if they were longer or shorter. Doesn't matter. Let's build a base. So after the very final Apollo mission, which was 17, some people claim it went up to 20. I don't even care about that. I think they just never stopped going. You know what I mean? They could do other spacecraft they can go up there with. They could retrofit the like I said, the shuttles, different engines, so on and so forth, that lands like a plane. So if you got any flat area, you can literally land that thing. And then you can take off pretty easy, because how much is the gravity there? Exactly. So 100%, I don't believe they stopped going. Jerry Malzahn, you said, Chris, there is something out there. Where did the phrase come from? As I grew up, I was always told men are from Mars and women are from Venus. Well, that's what I was told. I'm not sure how that, coincides with anything, but yeah, I've always heard the same thing. I think we're all from Mars. What do you think about that? AKA, man, you said you do a damn good job. Well, like I said, I appreciate that. I mean, it's not a competition thing for me for any other channel. I like a lot of channels out there. They do fantastic work, and, I give them nothing but props. This is the reason why you'll hear me say, folks, go to this channel, sub to them. You won't be disappointed, because I find their work, right up there grade A, and this is the reason why I'll turn, even if it's a new channel. Some people have come on here and said, hey, I've got a channel. Would you mind giving me a shout-out? Not a problem. If I go on there and I go, wow, look at this, the videos he has, by God, I'll do it. Because to me, I go, if I can find more channels like my own or something along the lines that I love to, see and watch, then I'm going to pass it along to other people, because I want more things to watch, more channels, more thought-provoking. And that's what it's all about, right? Mr. Liberty, good question. He said, how many soil samples do they need? About 1,000 of them. They're just not sure whether, it's soil or not. This is what I'm saying, and you hit it right on the head, because darn good and well it's not about rock collection, dust, soil. It's not about that. Come on. And it's mind-blowing that they keep throwing that crap at people. But now, they're starting to get a little bit more into it. Now they're trying to find more water on the moon, which there are in the Arctic areas or the colder areas, and within these craters. Problem is, how do you extract it out of a crater? Although they can, if they really wanted to. Or is it something they can just burrow into the ground, and almost like here, you get into a water table, you can get it if you're close enough to that crater. But if it's frozen, chances are you're not going to be able to do that, right? So I think it goes deeper than that. I don't think it's just about water, because if you really think about it, they can make the fuel here and then just keep transporting it up there, just dropping off fuel, heading back, and then they got a totally different system up there. In other words, they got a base, spacecraft, they just fuel up, and then off they go to Mars and off. And they basically the moon is a jump-off point, right? So that would be my thinking. That's what they're going to do. John P. Adventure says, been here a long time with you guys. And yeah, I remember you from way back in the day, man. I'm glad you're still here. Good to have you folks in there. Valerian the Mac 3 says, I live in here. Oh, that's good. Valerian, what's happening? It's good to see you in there, man. Said, Chris. Yay. F.J. Murphy said, don't walk suitcases over the border just because you have no rockets. That's aren't afraid might go off before it gets over the Shangri-La. Just keeping them in undo cruise. Friendly advice. Right. Okay. Interesting. Good to put that out there. Mimi said, NASA loves stones and soil. Yeah. And of course, some of them, this is the reason why people sometimes think the moon landings were fake, because they go, well, you know, the moon rocks, they found out some of them were petrified wood. Okay. Knowing they said that, does that mean the mission is complete garbage? I don't think so. Again, this was a cover thing by saying we're going up there for rocks and soils, we're going to take depth, soil, stuff like that. We're going to take core samples of the lunar surface if we can, and we're going to bring them back and analyze them. Okay. But if they turned out to be fake, does that mean every mission's fake? No, that's not what that means at all. It just means that maybe that whole idea of going up there for that was total BS, and that, what they were really going up there was something much more interesting, and that's what I would go, the latter, right? Oliver Klein, he said it's not fake. It not shows real moon. The background is blocked off. So they only show a place with dunes, dust, and rocks, but not what is behind the dust. Yeah, exactly. Well, again, they've said this before. They have like templates, and they make them look like hills and mountains in the background from where these astronauts are standing and taking pictures and taking soil samples and everything else. So those are being templates that they're blocking. They're just putting over something they don't want people to see. Now, many people have said, hey, I've seen that same dune in an entirely different photo. Now, keep in mind, some people make a mistake because what they're doing is they're in a large area and they're just kind of doing this, taking pictures, and that hill will be in that same picture. Maybe not the whole thing, but maybe half, right? But they are templates. They're putting this, do the same thing on Mars. They take a template and they plop it right on top of, like Mount Sharp. They'll take it and they'll put it over it so you don't know what it is. And, of course, all the CGI that goes into that and is overlaid on top. So, yeah, it's to just take off the much larger items that's hard to get out of a photo. Now, you can always, make a line on the ground, a lunar surface, and then just make it all black and just get rid of the hillside, period. But they wanted to show that there are hills, moon buttes, call them what you will, on the moon, right? Let me see. Alien believers, you said, sorry, I do believe that they were faked. Absolutely not. And the reason for that, and I've said this before, that if they were going to fake it, because most people say, well, I think they were completely faked. Okay, let's suppose you're right. And I've said this a million times. The photos are faked, but then why would you blur out, censor out anything that's in the photo? People go, well, maybe because it was on a set. Okay, we'll go with that too. What I have a problem with, though, is if they're going to do that, these people are the smartest people, at least we think, on the planet. So would you not take everything off this set and then make it? Because they can, listen, they got a lunar surface. If you've ever been to the spaceport down in Florida, you can see, you can actually go to the museum and everything else, and it looks so realistic. They got the buggy there, of course, the moon buggy. And it's not very big at all. If you've ever been there in person, you know what I'm talking about. So they can make the land and everything perfect with the moon buggy, so it can look absolutely pristine, and yet they don't. Why? If you took everything off there, something that's incriminating off there, then there would be no reason to blur a thing. But even they had, what was it back in the late 60s, early 70s, where they had Walter Cronkite on? Remember that? And what they did was they were panning around. I seen a video, it looked like giant white squares. All of a sudden, they hurried and panned off to the left. I went, wait a minute, what the heck was that? And I watched it over and over and over again. That's when it was like 20 seconds or whatever it was. It might have been even 20 minutes where they went completely radio silent. Or it was 20 seconds, I forget what it was. You guys can remind me. But they literally did that for a reason. Went to the other channel. Some of the people claim, these disinfo agents will say, no, they never had a medical channel or emergency channel. Yes, they did, 100%. So, again, if I'm going to set this up as a giant hoax, I'm going to take everything off of the set, nothing more on there but the lunar buggy, the man-made lunar surface, and it's going to be pristine. You wouldn't even know the difference. However, I would have to take the back out, so I'd put a backdrop of just black. That's the only thing I would do to it. And yet, I've seen photos where you can see this huge area one of the, and I forget which Apollo mission it was, so I can't say the exact astronauts' names, but you got one way in the back. He's taking a picture of this huge area with the other astronaut near the moon buggy, okay? Once you enhance it, this guy is literally, there's structures or something all around this astronaut. So they're literally in the middle of something that's not ours. So that's what tells me that these aren't fake. These are absolutely real. Even if we were to believe for a moment that, and I've thought about this myself, if the astronauts were superimposed into the photo, okay, doesn't mean it's faked. It just means there's a lander there and they never did go there to that area and actually go to the moon. So again, it doesn't mean it's completely faked out, right? And they can just superimpose them, but that doesn't change the fact that the photo, there's something in them photos, whether the astronauts were real or not. Andy Jaggy, what's happening? Good to see you in there. Is it hi, Chris? I hope you're doing well there, Andy. I'm going to jump all the way down to the bottom here because I was just talking a little bit, so I didn't get to see all these. So if you guys had a question or comment, just go ahead and drop it again. Simply Steve 68, yeah, what AKA man said. I spoke on that earlier. The problem with the AI is that it doesn't cut through the actual blur. Okay, like I said, if you got a good quality photo, it will enhance that, make it look more pristine. The problem with it is the second you get one that's low res, they've done major centering on it and everything else, it's almost impossible for the AI to do anything. And what it usually does, if you try to tweak out the filters on it to get the best, result, what happens is it ends up feathering rocks. So instead of it being a nice crisp edge, it looks feathered off. It just looks faker than fake. So I would say on a lot of these newer photos, at least for curiosity and and these it doesn't even really matter if it's a new lander or a rover or whatever. We can use any one of them. Once they start to do that, if you look at some of the rocks in the background, they're smooth out and they have that feathering look to them. So are they using AI? I strongly believe 100% they are. And this is the problem. So now you're using AI to fight AI. So you got to be really careful about if you're going to use this AI software on any photo, because a lot of them will actually make the photo worse. In other words, something that looks kind of grainy, you go, okay, I can use the AI, and it does. It smooths it right out. It looks good. Again, if it's not too censored out, you can get away with it. If not, then it kind of just makes up things in the photo, and that's not good to do either. A really pristine, like I said, comes out perfect, and it looks absolutely genuine, perfect, looks clean. If you look at the last videos he did, they look super clean, right? There's a reason for it. The photo was already pretty darn good, but you couldn't really zoom in. By zooming in and using the AI, the AI will actually allow you to zoom in, and it looks much clearer. That's the problem with AI. You can use it. Sometimes you got to tweak the filters, or you can't use it at all. Because if there's fine details, and let's say they want to make something look like a rock. Okay, you can do that, but what if it took out all the little details in that rock and you're trying to bring them out? AI is useless. Makes no sense. But there's a lot of good applications for the AI. So I'm actually researching it and what will work and won't work, will or won't work, right? So that's what I'm trying to go back and forth with. Because you can purchase it, but it's like $99. It's like, well, it better be worth it for me to do it. I don't care. I can afford it. I just don't know if it's worth it to use it. And I could probably use it every now and then. It'd be fine. Pete Ferreira says, excuse, he said the same depth on the moon. Why? Exactly. When we were talking about the craters, doesn't matter how wide they are, they seem to be always the same depth. Look at the real, get on one of these photos and look at the really wide craters, right? You can see the crater. Of course, you can see the crater wall, and you can see the ejecta supposedly come out of it. But then look outside the ejecta and then look inside the actual floor of the crater. They're the same depth. I mean, they're the same, like, they're right there. They're perfectly the same. It's almost like somebody went, let's take some clay and we'll take a completely smooth ball. We'll make a crater on it. We'll make a crater wall. Here we go. But yet the outside and the inside is completely the same surface. The wall of the crater is raised, but that doesn't mean the floor of it is sunk. This is what's crazy. Consequences says landfill comparison to unblurred. Yeah. Your Highness, what's going on? You said, hello, Chris. What's going on? Good to have you in there. Same with you, Nick Savage. Good to see you in there. Nothing incriminating would be left on a set. Exactly. There's no way I would leave anything on a set because I want it to be as believable as possible and really hoax this up. So I would make sure there's nothing on that I have to blur out. The first thing, listen, if you look, and we were just talking about this earlier, India, China, all of these people are now going to the moon. They're showing their new photos, UAE. They're showing these photos of either Mars, the moon, but they're piss poor quality. Why? You know as well as I do, they got the most high-tech, cutting-edge cameras that can possibly be had by the space agencies, even much more expensive than we'd ever afford. But the point is, it's like I can take my phone and I can literally take better pictures than half these photos, these China ones, and stuff like that. It simply doesn't make any sense. So that should be a red flag for anybody. Simple as that. Simply Steve 68 said, yeah, the AI just interprets the image and tries to smooth out the edges. Right. So if you have something, you go, okay, let's say on the side of a hillside. Okay. You've got what looks like floors and little intricate little details in there. The second you apply that, it just takes it all off. So you're not seeing it. And I've noticed the feathering, there's some of it, depending on the filtering you use, and I've done this purposely, depending on how you use it, it can literally look feathered over, like faked out big time. And I've seen this through NASA photos. So they clearly are using AI to just cover these things up. In fact, they got a photo. Let me see if I can find this thing. Let me do this. Let me get off the... Let me get this here a second. Let me see if I can find this. Because I just took... let me see if I can find it. This is a photo I just got. Oh, here it is. Now, this is cool. Now, I want you guys to see this. This is neat. All right. This was, and Jimmy gets the credit for this, this is from Martian Ground Up Close and Interesting. Very clear. Again, Jimmy Roberts gets full credit for this. Now, it doesn't look like he used AI in this. However, look at this right here. I'm going to go around it with my cursor. This rock right here. Look at the rock and tell me what you folks think, okay? I'm going to get this in here a little bit more, put it in the center of the photo. This rock right here. Now, to help you, give you an idea, look at the background, look at this rock, okay? Tell me what you guys see. You, God, said digital cameras should not be fuzzy. Absolutely. Pat asked, he said, he simply just got here. Hey, what's going on, Pat? Good to have you in there. Anyway, he just got in. I even started late, so don't feel bad. Pat Owen, what's happening? Side Chris, long time no see. Same here, Pat. Good to have you in there as well. D&D Florida Fund says it's a telescope on the backside of in a crater to avoid Earth's interference. Well, are we talking about what we talked about earlier, where we was talking about it's probably it's a dish, but it's a radio telescope, I think. And if that's what you're referring to, D&D. Valerian the Mac 3 says, watch Ancient Aliens, and they said that the moon was never orbited, and was never orbited Earth before, but put into our orbit. Right, because they talked about the ancient people, how they talked about at one time there was no moon. So we had no moon at one time. People go, well, that's impossible because of the, if you had no moon, what would happen to the water? All right. Well, if the moon's not there to begin with, your water's completely fine. It's only when it's in your area, full moon, whatever, waning, it doesn't matter what it is. It's going to influence if it gets close, meaning it's in your night sky, evening, morning, whatever it takes, well, different times of day and night, you'll have high tide. But what about the time when you don't have tide? In other words, the moon's not there. It's daytime. Okay. So it's not going to have that much bearing on it. So I don't think it has anything to do with it. If the moon wasn't here, I don't think it'd be a problem. Now, if it was there and all of a sudden it got closer, it would have an effect, of course. If it went away, which it is, it's about what, an inch and a half every year, something like that. it's literally getting away more and more from Earth. So, I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Let me see. Did this thing jump on me here? Alien believers, that's a good question. You said, why not front view cameras? Now, are you talking about when they have a rocket liftoff? Meaning it's coming out of Earth orbit? Is that what you're questioning? Sven Svein says, there's just a high amount of depth in moon dirt before you hit the metal skeleton on the moon. Well, yeah, that's what everybody's been thinking lately, that it has its own skin, but it also has the layer of dust and rock and everything else, right? Renee V, I haven't seen Joss, so I'm not sure where he's at. Renee V said it's metal. This picture here we got on the screen. Pat Owen, you said it looks like a table. Nick Savage, you said photos are manipulated before made public to censor anything they don't want to be noticed. Exactly right. Right on the head. Exactly. ZZK, we'll call you ZZK for short. Top is same texture as the background. Okay. So I'm going to, Pat S., you said shininess like metal. And Renee V said gold. Gold. Maggie Bolin, what's happening? Good to have you in there, man. You said hello from the Baltic Sea. Pete, you said, I've seen this photo. I see a lot of straight lines and unnatural shapes. Yep. If you look right in here, you can see what looks like parts. But here's the question. I'm going to get to this in a second. Okay. This is what I want you guys to notice. On the left-hand side, we see what looks like a darker, smooth rock, okay? This is where it gets interesting. There is what looks like, now this may be put in there themselves, but it looks like there's a shadow. In other words, this thing's behind, it's on the side of the rock, this bigger, shinier rock, and it's to the back and, like I said, on the side. So how would this rock being higher, shinier, just like the background? This is what we call a major F-up, okay? This should not be the same as this background. They made a big-time screw-up on this. So this is what I'm saying. This was supposed to be in the background, but there's a rock. It's supposed to be a tall rock, at least that looks that way. And you have this rock that's almost in front of it, but it's on the side. How can that be? How can the background be on top of this rock, but yet it's not on top of this rock that's on the left? It simply doesn't make sense. And anybody who thinks a lot of these rocks look real, come on, look at this. You can see something right in here between that right there. You can see what looks like mechanical parts or something in there. These are completely dressed up, folks. Lower right corner. You can see something right there. It looks like it's the shape of a pizza, at least a pizza slice, right here. Really, really interesting here, folks. It's just bizarre how they came out with this. Up in the top here, what is that? This right here. Looks like a cutout V. Has this smooth over, like it goes over like this, like a tombstone. Right there. Has a V cutout. Come on, guys. AI is just doing the best it can to put texture over. This is a rock mimicking software. We've been saying this for years. It's just a rock. It's something in there that's clearly, it's something that's intelligently made, but the AI is doing its best to dress it up as a rock, stone, mountain. It doesn't matter what it is, right? That's exactly what this thing's doing. It's exactly what it's doing, and you see it's not perfect. That's for sure. You God, I appreciate that. Look at that. Bam. First one of the night, or afternoon, evening, depending on where you're located. Thank you very much. I do appreciate your support. Give him a big round of applause. Oh, yeah. I do appreciate you. You don't know how much. It's awesome. How's it going? It says, well, I'm doing good, man. I think we're all rocking in here today. We are rocking it. Again, thank you very much. Let me see here. Let's see. Now, thing jumped on me here. I hate when this happens. Nick Savage, you said, was 8 miles from Apollo 11 as it launched. Minutes later, when almost too small to see, the ground shook like an earthquake and rumbling deafening. Now, you're talking about when they dropped that third stage of the rocket to, because remember, these guys had seismic instruments with them to purposely do that, to see if it rang like a bell. Is that what you're referring to, Nick? Cooking says the moon coming here could be responsible for the global flood myth. That's a very good point. Could very well be. Now, I don't remember how long ago it was before everybody started writing about the Great Flood, because it wasn't just in the Bible, right? So it's hard to know what timing it was, but there was actually written that there was a time before the moon. So interesting. Simply Steve 68 says ore is a mineral rock, so gold is an ore. Right, exactly. F.J. Murphy says MG, the Mars Germans, 20 years ahead of us, had a million head start on the blueprints. Guess that's what it is. Kamlers and Enemy, MC, Spider, Killer, 20. And back, Chris, keep your eye open. Gonna get grumpy here. Thank you, best. Okay. I love that. That's actually pretty cool. Let's see. Christine Ingram. He said, hi, Chris, and fellow truth seekers. Finally caught a hangout. Well, like I said, I was telling you guys in my last video, made a promise we were going to have one. And by God, we're going to try to keep having these too. That doesn't mean something won't come up and I won't be able to do it. But I'm going to try my best to just keep doing these like we were doing. And I enjoy doing them, right? So, Kick Arse and Chew Bubblegum says, Galena Rock. Well, possibly. But Larry the Max is an Anunnaki table. Well, again, it always puzzled me how this background is on this rock that's high off the ground, and there's a rock right next to it. So shouldn't this blend in too? Shouldn't they blend in that darker rock? Now, call me silly, but that shouldn't look like that. So again, right off the bat, that's a red flag. The way they do these photos is ridiculous. You can just see how fake these rocks look. Like I said, this one to the right of it, look at this. This is crazy. It looks like something's all coming out right here. Some kind of weird pieces and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, this whole area is covered up by, it's supposed to be a rock? That's a poor excuse for a rock. And like I said, this other one here, this light one right here, and I'll put it right in the middle of the screen, right here. It's got this like tombstone type shape on the top, comes down right there, has a cutout right there. Come on. Cameron, you taking off? You said, have a good rest of the weekend, Chris. If you are, as always, thanks for being here, and I do appreciate it. And if you have Monday off, enjoy it, man. That's awesome. Glad to have you in there as always. Len Peterson says, Monday morning here. You must be in Australia or somewhere, or New Zealand. AKA Man says, whatever it is, it's part of the debris on the right, same color. See, these are all faked out rocks. I mean, there's so many times. Don't get me wrong. A rock is like a snowflake, right? They're never going to be all the same. We know that. On the other side of the token, you can usually tell a rock that's completely fake. Just by looking at it, it looks like an AI processed piece of trash. At least the way I see it, it absolutely is. Mr. Bush Corey Gaz, what's happening? Says, he's saying hello to Mimi, but good to see you there, Corey. Marco Besta, man, it's been a while since I've seen you in there, unless you've been sneaking in there. But yeah, good to have you in there. He said, any idea what the blurred out machine is on the moon? Are there any photos of it out there, not blurred, or rendition of it? I think I know which one you're talking about. This is a while back. Is it not the one that's kind of high off the ground, kind of looking at an angle? If it's the one I think it is, I was actually able to bring the shape of that thing out through the blur. But no, there's nothing out there that they're going to let you see. That they don't want us to see, right? So chances are you're not going to find an original, unless, of course, you know somebody that's worked for NASA and they have the original. But other than that, yeah, you won't find it, unfortunately. Bush Corey said, when's India letting out pics? Yeah, well, I don't know when they're going to let them out, but I can almost promise you, when they sent out, I think it was India that sent a mom probe over to Mars, and people were just downright angry with them because they're like, where's the real photos? You guys promised us. I think it was China and them at one point. They were yelling at them and everything else. Like, where's the, no, I'm almost positive it was India. They were saying, where's these high-def photos you promised? You said it's going to be HD. It's going to be really awesome. And they look like garbage. The only good thing about it is when they had that photo of Mars, you can literally put it in Photoshop and do its work, auto color, auto contrast, so on and so forth, right? And it literally looked like the colors you'd almost have here on Earth. So it wasn't just completely orange. Here's the funny part. You had Mars to the left, and they had their insignia on the right-hand side. The insignia barely changed in color at all, yet Mars completely changed colors. So they manipulated and modified that color of Mars. This is the reason why it changed so drastically, where the insignia did not. It was his actual color. This is the reason why I was glad actually that they actually showed their own photo, because when I brought it out, I said, this is the real color of Mars. And yet the insignia, and I did the video on this showing the insignia didn't even change. Because it was like an orange and blue, right? The blue got slightly darker blue, and the orange became slightly deeper orange. Other than that, the colors did not change. However, Mars did. It showed like a real thin atmosphere, and it showed actual colors, browns, greens, blues. It showed it all. This is how you know these folks are messing with these photos. Simple as that. Okay, Nick, I see what you're saying. You said vibrations and sound had to travel 8 miles. Took a few minutes. Absolutely, depending on the actual density, right, of the lunar surface. And you said the power of the Saturn V was amazing. Absolutely. Exactly, Pat. I agree with you. You said, I'm starting to hate AI. I can never tell what's real or not. See, this is the reason why I see photos like that. And if they're completely AI, I don't even pay no mind to it. I just jump right over it. There's no point in even messing with it because it's completely up. You know what I'm saying? So I don't even bother with it. It's not worth it to me. However, like I said, if I was to, dissect a photo like this, I would try to bring out all of these here on this weird rock, try to bring this out a little bit better and emphasize what's really there. At least try to bring it out, because you're never going to get all of it out. Just, you can forget about that. But you can try your best to bring some of it out, and that's the key to it, right? So, and I agree with you. A lot of the AI, they're using AI to cover these photos up. This is the reason why we can find bits and pieces of stuff hanging out of rocks that should not be there. So is it hanging out of a rock, or is it rock mimicking software making the intelligently made object look like a rock? There you go. That's the reason. And this is the reason why we can find some of this stuff, right? Oh, appreciate it there, big truck. It's $20 right there. Bam. Do you see what looks like a creepy face top right? It's plain as day. Let me see. You talking about up here? I'm not sure if you're talking about this one up here or... I'm trying to see here. I don't want to get too close because then it looks kind of blurred out. Well, I wouldn't say blurred out, more grainy. Let me see. Almost looks like an eye right here. That's kind of weird. Maybe I'm just looking at it too closely. I'm just not quite seeing it, but thank you very much for your support. I do appreciate you. Get a round of applause. That's awesome. $20 super chat, baby. Thank you very much. I do appreciate you. But I think I'm not sure if it was... This one looks bizarre to begin with, but you got to remember this monitor is literally right here in my face. It's not even a foot away, and it's only 24 inches, but still. Oops. So apparently a few of you see it. How am I not seeing that? Maybe the way I'm looking at it. But here's another thing I just noticed too, now that we're mentioning the right-hand corner. Look at this black right here. Why am I seeing white through it? See this white piece behind it? Why am I seeing that white piece through this black? Why? Zoom into it, folks, look. Blur. So you not only have black over this thing, whatever the rest of this part is, this white part is, you have black over it, at least they went over it real quickly, or the AI did, and then you have a black line, right, or I should say a blur line, just below the black edge, right here. It's all completely blurred out, you can see it. Right there. Straight line coming down right here, just below the actual black outline. It's completely blurred out. Bush, Corey, you said, your question was, does Leslie Ann still get in here? I haven't seen her. Of course, like I said, for a while we weren't doing any of these, so maybe that's why. But that's why I'm hoping that we're on here more and more, that it'll help. You know what I mean? Again, Big Truck, thank you very much for your support. It is appreciated. Okay, let's see here. Oops. Okay, there we go. Oh, let's see. Kick ass. We'll put it to arse as. He said, if you were a vampire, wouldn't you go to the dark side of the moon and build a vampire civilization and expand into space? Well, you could, but keep in mind the other side, or the back side of the moon, is not sun-free, meaning it does get sun. It's just, it's tidal locked, so we don't get to see the other side, but it does get sun. Nick Savage, you said machine on the moon? You mean that dragon-looking thing? Some guy ran through a software for edges and details. I'm not sure about that one. Was that recent, or was that the thing they had in the background? It was on the very edge in the background where it looked like something like that, like a dragon of some sort. If it's the one I think it is, I've dissected that one before, and it's something bizarre. It's not natural, whatever it is. Oops. Okay, so you guys are seeing the same thing. It looks like a face with a hood, and that's a rock? You're talking about this right here, yeah. That's what I figured, because that's the only thing I can think of. It kind of looks like a face right in here, the eyes, the mouth, something right there, but I'm not so sure that's what it is, but it, to me, again, it's been doctored up. This is a pile of debris. And when I say debris, I believe this stuff is obviously intelligently made, and you can see that right between this weird reflective rock, which it's not. It's just they screwed up on this. You can see where they try to feather it into the background. And you can see these white pieces. There's one right here. It's got a curvature to it, and it looks like it has a small little detail on the side of it. And then we got these other pieces. See this white right here? 1, 2. They look like they're angled pieces, almost 90-degree pieces. It continues to go on straight, but it's brown instead of white. So what they try to do is just take this right out so you couldn't see how long that thing was going into this other piece. So this is nothing more than an AI been blocked. That's all it is. Oops, I think it just jumped on me again. Yeah, we finally seen it that time. But who was just saying that? He said the Sith. World accumulates. Elite, rather. That's pretty funny. Kind of does, doesn't it? The Sith. Pretty much. Oh, okay. Bush Corey, I hear you. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen her. Pat S., she said, I only see the face because someone suggested it's a real stretch. Well, it kind of does give you that illusion or that kind of look that it is almost like somebody would be wearing a helmet and, a hood, and it kind of looks like a face. I mean, again, they'll use the term pareidolia because our mind is set to see faces, so it would be easy to see that and go, well, it kind of does. I mean, I'm not going to lie, but is it? I don't believe that it is. But again, we can see this weird rock again, and then we've got this, like I said, this black right here where clearly there's a white piece right here, and then this black, they went over it and then put blur over it to boot, so they were trying to get rid of any detail of that object. 100% that thing's intelligent made. Check this out. I just noticed all this on the bottom. Look on the bottom right. We have what looks like little pieces on the bottom. But here's the problem. You can't get too close because look what happens, right? So I'm going to see what this looks like. I'm going to give it some time to catch up on my other screen, what you guys are seeing. Because I've already zoomed into it. It's probably about 10 seconds difference, and you'll see it. I'm seeing it now, just starting to catch up. But let's have a closer look. And you can see it right there, but watch when you zoom way in, it literally goes, to crap. It just starts breaking apart. But if I was to back out, we'll do it this way. Right about, did that wrong. Right about there, and we'll have a better look. And it looks like a bunch of little pieces, but what they do is they blend the color onto these other objects, or the AI is doing that, of course. But what they do is they literally will, if it's something brown next to it, they'll put the brown over it to make it look like it's part of that rock, when clearly it is not. Kurt Abanas, what's happening? Good to see you in there, man. He said, Vampire Civilization, Life Force. Actually, a good movie. Wild Mountain Bear says, yeah, that looks like a person and with a headscarf. I see the facial features. She is sitting sideways towards us. I can see a right arm and leg. But like I said, I try not to, get too... Yeah, I know what you're saying. You can see what looks like an arm here, or at least a shoulder part, or an arm here. Just be careful, because a lot of times we see patterns of faces and people. This is the reason why I can see what you guys are saying. It clearly could be that. However, I don't believe it's actually that, right? But again, we have these different shapes just below that. That should not be there. That's not normal. That's not natural. That's something that's been put over something that they don't want us to see. That's all. And that's the only thing you come to, But this was just on Jimmy's latest video, if you want to see it. And you can, I think it's, 2 minutes and 39 seconds into his latest video, and that's it right there. You'll see it. Pretty wild. Big Truck, he said, it drives me absolutely crazy that our tax dollars are being spent to keep us from, us, what we deserve to know and see. And I totally agree with you. It's like they go, listen, you're on a needs-to-know basis. We're not telling you squat. Well, lying to the public's not the answer. I think it would make the world a better place if, because for a lot of people, they just believe we're just on our own and that's it. There's nothing else to life. We'll enjoy my life, obviously, with family and all that. But I mean, as far as like, that's it. End all or be all. And that's not the case. There's much more out there, and we're part of this, whether there's good, beings out there or evil. Of course, people would get terrified, but you get what I'm saying. But the thing is to know that you're part of something much larger, and I always say that we are, due to what I've been seeing in these photos and reading and everything else. So my thing is, I go, we're part of something much larger, and if people would just take a step back and just analyze this. You know what's really sad? Let me get a drink here. Not that that's not sad, but yeah. I was watching these, and I know you folks have seen these. Those little reels or the shorts you see on Facebook or YouTube, when these people are literally going up to people and asking them simple questions about the United States or different countries, they can't even answer it. One question was, can you tell me how many 10 cents are in a dollar? Do you mean the dime things? The dimes? Just the fact that they asked that, I was dumbfounded. Okay? They still couldn't answer the question. What country is Mount Rushmore in? Couldn't answer the question. One of them, they literally give the answer away. In what city was the Boston Tea Party held? Well, where was that event held at? Was it Europe? I'm going, please tell me you people are trolling. Okay. But knowing that there's people out there like that, how do you expect, well, this is the reason why they're getting away with it. Because the public doesn't care. They don't even know their own government. Who's the vice president? They can't answer it. I'm dumbfounded. It's mind-blowing that people don't know this. Steve Garnham, what's happening? He said, hi, Chris and everyone. I will pop in and out tonight. Well, appreciate you doing that, Steve. It's awesome to see you in there. Pat Owen says it looks like a sandbag next to that table. Yeah, I guess you can say that. Kind of has that look. But again, you can't get too wrapped up in it. I mean, it's just the shapes. Just the shapes alone, again, should raise a red flag, right? Do this. Let me move myself. Put myself in the corner. There we go. Distorted Darth Vader. There you go. Big truck. Valerian the Mac 3 says, slap that. Thumbs up. That's right, guys. Thumbs up for me. If you haven't done it already, please do. Appreciate that. Pat S., you said half a wheel. Oh, okay, so you're saying that curvature part I was just showing. It's not going to be very big, though. That's what's really weird. The other thing is we don't know if the rovers are even zooming in. So we don't know how really big these things are. At one time, they used to have a lot of scaling, and you didn't have to try to figure it out. Like Jimmy tries to do that. He scales it out, gets the PDSs, and scales it out. In some ways, I don't agree with the actual scaling, but he's pretty much spot on when it comes to that. Because I'm looking at that, I'm going, yeah, I would say that. Judging on what I've seen in these photos, how big these things are, or how far away they are from the rover in a lot of these photos, you can almost judge the size of these, buttes, hills, whatever they may be, or distances from the rover to there. You can almost say, I agree or I don't. So he does do a fantastic job of that, and he does show, like I said, he tries to show shape as well as, I think it's having his wife Missy in there, I think it is. Try to stand her in there, and so you get a better idea if you were standing there how big these hillsides would be. So I think he does a great job when it comes to that. And we get a basic idea. Even if it's not completely spot on, it's pretty damn close, right? And I really do not like they. Dan Cabrillas, what's happening? It's good to have you in there. He said, hey, hello, people. Your last video was very good, Chris. I appreciate that, Dan. Glad to have you in there. I don't know if you just popped in there, but we're just discussing this photo here and the fakery going on. Yeah, Valerian the Mac 3. Don't give in to the dark side like Lou in Corbell. No, they wouldn't do that, would they? Come on now. They're not lying. Come on, give these guys a break. Simply Steve. Hey, we found Chris on Mars. It's like, yeah, I'm just going to sit here and hold this rock up. Hold on. Hold on. That's pretty heavy, folks. I can't get it off the ground. I tried. But, let's see. Kick R, she said, where did this time blindness come from? People are using this excuse. They lose track of time, and it's a disease, so they can be late to work. See, I don't know if I've ever heard that, but people use any excuse to be late for work or not come in at all. Believe me, I've got a couple of those at my job, and I depend on them, and I want to tear their head off when they, I got to take time off, and it's BS, but it is what it is. Not much you can do about it. But what I tell people, I go, you know what? I'm kind of getting used to working alone. Looks like I'm going to have to cut your hours. They look at you like, what for? What do you mean? Well, clearly you have a money tree at home, so you don't need to work. Phil C., what's happening? Good to see you and have you in there. He said, if you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up. I appreciate you folks, and I appreciate you there, Phil. Awesome. Let me see. Okay, there we go. Not sure what this thing says because this little thing is in the way here. But Pat S., you said, Chris, you should try one of these as a panel. Allow a couple people up at a time. Yeah, I thought about that too. Valerian, you said, Chris, you should be a supervisor by now. Well, I'm pretty much a head person in there as far as, the store itself. But, it's crazy how, now anybody who's older will know what I'm talking about. Why is it that today, I think I already know the answer to this, but I'm going to throw this out there anyway. Why is it that the younger people can't work nearly as much as the older folks? Let's see. Well, we're not on our phones 24/7, even though I get my share of computer or phone, right? When I think about it, I go, they don't have the drive. They don't want to work because they still live with mommy and daddy. Now, I'm not saying all kids or younger folks. I'm not saying that because you're just basically generalizing everybody or just picking on one group, and that's not entirely true. However, a lot of the younger folks, they live with mommy and daddy, so they don't care whether they come in or not. They don't depend on a paycheck. They just go, well, this is good to blow, I'll go out and buy some new clothes or some new kicks or whatever, and they don't care. They just don't. So I look at it like, okay, you should be blowing me away and working circles around me. I can literally work circles around these kids or the younger people. I've got a couple of them that are 35 years old and around that age, and it's sad. They can work well when they're in. It's one thing to have family issues. I have no problem with it. Always family first. No two ways about it. Family's always first. So if you're legit, you need to take the time off, you should do it. If you're not, you're just blowing smoke because hey, it's going to be a nice day out today. Got to go to that Barbie. Then no. So then people who are in charge or higher up, they start to get a little perturbed and you start losing hours. And you go, how come I got less hours? Well, clearly you don't need the cash. Yeah, we'll give the hours to somebody else. Or we'll just save the hours from, in the store. That's all. T. Harrison 004, what's happening? Good to have you in there, as always. He said they can, but they're just too lazy. Yeah, but even then, some of them put their minds to it, and they still can't work as fast as I can. Some of them are really good workers when they work, don't get me wrong. But, good God. Exactly, Nick. Yep, work ethic is not the same. Listen, my mom had her own store back in the day. It was like a variety store, right? Good-sized store. And I would come out of school. I'd go right there. She'd leave to go do something that she had to do for the store. And I would, close it. And I'd go home and I'd do my homework. On Saturdays, I would go to the store and I'd open up for the day. And she'd be doing, she'd go to flea markets and do other stuff. And I'd work at the store. And I always had a girl that would hang out with me. She was my neighbor. She'd just hang out. We just chatted up. And I had a little TV in there. And I just, watch some TV. You guys ever remember the double creature feature? We used to have it on, it was a Boston channel, channel 56. But we used to have the double creature feature, always on. It had Godzilla, vampire movies, all kinds of stuff would be on there. But really, really cool. And I'd watch the store, make some money, close it at the end of the day, and boom, off I went. And you still had to get your homework done. That's what the fun part was. But I always did it. Did I like it too much? Probably not. But the point is, got it done. It's something you want to do. You wanted to be proud of what you've done. Mike Henry said, Bob Lazar, Joe Rogan, up 115, truth, folks, truth. Well, Bob Lazar, Joe Rogan has had him on there on a show many a times. And some people are kind of on the fence about, Bob. I don't believe so. I think he's 100%. I think he's telling the truth. Since the time he came out with it, he's always had the same story. Nothing's changed or deviated from what he said originally. So this is how you know a man is actually telling the truth. Like they said, they try to race him. They try to do all kinds of stuff to him, right? Mike Henry said, thanks, Chris. We need more guys like you exposing truths. I like doing it. It's a hobby of mine. I can just get more time to do it. T. Harrison, you said my mom would fix TVs, vacuums, etc. She did it all. There's nothing wrong with that. And here's the thing, too. And I know most people here are homeowners, and if they're not, then they rent. It doesn't really matter. You learn to fix things anyway because you're trying to save a dollar bill, if you can. Now, if I believe, that's a little too tough, I probably shouldn't touch that, I'll have a professional do it, whether it's something on your car that's really bizarre you can't fix or whatever, or something like, it was a while back, but I had changed the heating element in my dryer. That's pretty easy. Just order the pot. It cost me $35. Took me maybe an hour to take it, rip it apart and put the new one in, clean everything out, vacuum it all out, put it back together, and off. That's it. Worked perfect sense. Never done one in my life. But if you're inclined at all, I've already got the tools. I can rip apart a car engine, or I can work on the house. So I don't care to do it. My refrigerator, the fan took a dump in it. No big deal. Took it all apart, defrosted it, took the fan out. It was a dead fan. Replaced it. Good to go. Not going to go and spend. It was like $60, and because it was from a dented refrigerator, they just, they stripped the parts out of it and charged me half. So it was like $35, $35 with tax. So put a new one in and never had a problem with it. So just change it out. Just do something, you know what I mean? If it saves you a dollar bill and it gives you experience to boot, ain't nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Great for all. What's happening? Good to see you in there. He said, I'm a supervisor at work, and I deal with the same BS from young people. Exactly. There's one of them that's a really good worker. He's awesome, but he's 18. And I'll tell him, look at, the other one that works with me, she's, obviously she's a female, but they'll sit there and get there talking, and he's acting like he's working. He's got his phone like this here. He's literally like up against the aisle trying to act like he's working, and he's on his phone. I'm like, I'm getting really perturbed. And when I talk to the girl, and she's more or less my friend anyway, but when I go, listen, you guys got to get to work. Well, I've been working. I said, yeah, but he slows you down, and he's got to stop. Now, he's went to evening shift. He's the only one on the evening shift, so it's kind of good. It's not distracting her or anybody else, to that matter. So, but it's like, just get to work. Everybody else is putting in their, the effort and everything else to get it done. You should do the same. That's all. Jody Antone, he said, I missed the courtesy and service that was provided in the 70s and 80s. Even the food, not the same. True. Truth right there. Yep. T. Harrison, you said, my mom's in her 80s and still watches grandchildren. She loves it. Yeah, of course. You should. That's awesome. Phil C. said, Lazar is telling exactly what he experienced, in my humble opinion. Absolutely. Like I said, he's always been true to his story and never deviated from his truth, or the original truth, right? Casper's a tube box. He said, hey, hi, Chris. Again, another great show. By the way, Casper is my puppy. Oh, that's awesome. It's funny. Well, not funny, but you brought that up. And, my neighbor yesterday comes banging at my door. I'm saying, who the heck is this? So I look on my phone, and I can see I've got one of those video doorbells. So I'm looking at him and say, oh, it's my neighbor. What's up with that? So I go out there, and I said, what's going on? He said, would you give me a hand? I said, what seems to be the problem? He said, well, I came out probably about mid-morning today, and I found a dead dog next to my back stairs. I went, are you serious? So he thinks it got hit here on the main road, and it just kind of went through this drainage area and came up to his back stairs. It looked like it was kind of sleeping. It was like this here. So he didn't know if the thing was going to jump up and attack him, so he's literally looking at his chest and see if it's breathing, and it wasn't. I said, you know what? That's what aggravates me more than anything. It's one thing, the road's a 55-mile-an-hour road. Okay, so it's one thing. Make this a little bigger. So it's one thing if it was a possum that ran across the street. It's much smaller. This dog was probably 3 years old, and it looked like it was Roddy and maybe what was the other one? Kind of looked like it's kind of a weird mix, like almost like a German Shepherd colors. But it's a good-sized dog. I mean, this thing was probably almost up to your waist, average person. And I'm like, why would you do that? How do you not see this thing? And if you clip the thing because it ran out in front of you, I get it. Stop and try to find somebody who, the nearest house. Listen, I just ran over this dog, man. Nothing. People just took off. So not long after that, there was somebody on Facebook And, we were literally just discussing it and talking about it. I helped him out, put it in this little trailer. He said, I tried to call the pound and everything else, see if they could come down and bring it. They won't even answer the phone. He said, all right. So it wasn't long after that. My wife is like on Facebook, and all of a sudden this pops up because she's part of the community here. And they said, oh, yeah, didn't anybody see my dog? Just let me know, because it took off at 10:30 last night, and it got out of its collar, and it's really not used to being out. But anyway, it got out, and, unfortunately it got hit. So we had to tell them, and they came and picked it up, and they said, we really appreciate it. You guys got a heart of gold and everything else. At least we know what happened. I said, yeah, I wish it was under better circumstance. I wish the dog was still alive, but unfortunately not the case. So that's what sucks. I hate hearing that, and it drives me insane that people are like that. Miss Hurd, good to have you in there, man. It's been a while. You say hello, Chris and everyone. She's in the house. Everybody say hello to Miss Hurd. Yep, maybe. He said, oh, no. Valerian says, be right back. Yeah, so it just infuriates me that people are like that. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy how people are like that. India's Chandrayaan-3 landed on the south pole of the moon. A space policy expert explains what this means for India in the global race to the moon. Yeah. When I look at this, I just kind of laugh. Like I said, I applaud any space agency that's now up there doing their thing, exploring, because it just means, at some point there's going to be more and more spacefaring countries out there, which is awesome. But what is this piece of garbage that's right here? How does anybody look at that and go, well, that's real? Now, I know they're trying to do an animation, so it gives you an idea where how close this thing is to the surface. So that makes sense to me. But when you see a lot of these photos, some of them are good quality. Like you see the rover, if I'm not mistaken, they had the rover come off the ramp from the lander. It looked really good, pristine, but it looks like it's literally, it reminds me of basically NASA. Same BS. Like, we'll just go ahead and make this bigger here. And let's see, we'll get rid of this. I don't know if this thing has subtitles, but let's go ahead and play it. But you can see it going off the ramp. It's turning. You can see that. But why the shitty quality photos? Anybody with me on that? Why is this trash? This thing should be so crystal clear, it shouldn't even be funny. Now, if their argument is, well, you got to understand, it's a lot of data to be transmitting high definition, because it's live, high definition back to Earth, I get that. So then why don't you do this? Record it in high def and then send the information back so we can see it much cleaner. In other words, for now, show the real, the real time, and then, record it at the same time and then show the real quality. They won't do that. You won't see that ever. And that's what's aggravating. So like I said, even if we were to believe that, and I do believe that as far as data rate, being high definition, that's a lot. That's a lot of data being transmitted. But record it at the same time, and then within, a day or something like that, say, hey, by the way, this is the high definition video, but you'll never see that. Why? If they keep it down, you can see right in the background, just above that rover, it's completely blurred out. And to the right, it's completely whited out. Why? Why is that whited out? It shouldn't be. The rover was deployed onto the moon on August 23rd. And you can see it coming down. Again, extra shitty quality. Look at all the pixelation in it. Again, I understand. I get the stream thing. I get it. There goes one of the solar panels. Now, you see when they did this, you can see, let me just back up a little bit. You can see as it's completely, in the background, completely pixelated, or, you can see it's just low quality, right? Low res video. But when it stops, everything stops, it gets clearer. We'll see that in a minute. You can see right here on the top of the rover. But the background's completely whited out. Why is that? You can see the sun's coming from the left, going towards the right. You can see the actual, right here on the ramp itself, where the rover is it's casting a shadow to the right. Okay, so why is it so darn light over there, completely blurry up here? So you know these videos already taken place, and they've already rendered them. They've already censored them out. So what's the point? Rico, what's going on? Viglione says maybe they got a raw deal on the cameras they bought. Oh my God! And this is India, I believe, yeah, yep. So what I find interesting is, like I said, crappy. Here's the thing: if I was to show you a low res, there's a reason for it. I don't want you to spot something you should not. So either when they landed, they got a spotlight they just put in that area on the right-hand side, super brightened it out. But then why is it blurry at the top of the photo? Now, again, low res, so that kind of makes sense. We'll go with that. Let's see. Let's keep playing it. So it's got to get the solar panels up, so we're going to start getting power. Okay, we're going to tilt now we're going to let it down. And you can see the shadow being cast to the right. But why is it so down shiny over to the right? What's over there? What do they call ice? Metal? What is it? Simply Stevie said it means nothing for any nation to go to the moon now. Pretty much. Well, see, this is what I'm saying. It's kind of like, what's the term what they use? Old hats. It's so easy now, and yet, listen, guys, we're getting so used to this. The technology's great, but can't seem to get a good camera. I just don't get it. Again, I wouldn't even care if they had this low quality, because again, we're talking data stream, low quality, but then record it at the same time and show better quality the following day. You won't see that. Oliver Klein said it's the same OBS. Yep. Kick R says, looks like a film from the 60s. No, actually, the film looked better than that. That's the sad part. And it was crap. Yeah, same difference, Enrico. Oops, I mean bad deal. Same thing. I got it all right. ZZ, you said, guy made the camera with a hammer. What do they use? What's the term they used to use? What do they do? Take a picture with a potato? Pretty much. World Elites, you said, those cams got to always be pointed at the ground for a reason. They need more cams pointing outward across the entire landscape. Well, they probably do. We just can't see those. Exactly. Gertabanas, he said 4K videos only in SpaceX. Well, here's the thing. Again, you can tell these are already been done. They've already recorded them. And they probably can go over them real quickly, frame by frame. Maybe it's AI that does them and just completely just blurs out a certain area, brightens up another. So, and then they go, by the way, this is real time. This is what we're showing you. You know, because all they're going to do is delay it, right? It starts recording. They delay it. We're waiting any minute now, folks. It's going to probably take good 10, 15 minutes to get a signal from the lander to make sure it's okay. So they're sitting there waiting. In the meantime, they've already taken the photo, and now they're going to show you, ooh, this is real time, and it's not. That's the crazy part. Rico, we can blame the low quality on the young people. I'm kidding. Kurtabana says SpaceX will reach Mars before NASA. Well, I think that, like I said, but the company is actually, subcontracted through them. So, in a sense, they'll both be at the same time, right? NASA/SpaceX, because he basically works hand in hand with them now. So, it'll be both. Let's see. Goes down, hits the ground, boom, right there. That was interesting. I just noticed something. Hold on. Huh. Maybe you guys can see this when I'm seeing it. Right when that rover goes down, you can literally see the shadow changing wait a minute, it's moving like 6 to 8 feet. How the hell would the shadow be changing the angle? Watch this. Let me see if I can get it back where it was. Okay. Now it's going to come down. As soon as it gets flat on the ground, you'll see the actual shadow like going towards, like it's kind of bending towards the lander. Now it's going to go on the ground. So obviously it's going to change right there, direction. But watch. Okay, it's on the ground. It literally looked like it started to change a little bit. I'm like, what is going on there? Not a whole lot, but it looked like it was changing a little bit. Either way, there's no reason the quality of those should look like that crappy. Again, show the low-res feed. Don't care. You know, but in this day and age, again, we're talking about like quantum communications or damn close to it. Well, maybe not everybody's got it. But the thing is, it should be really quality stuff, right? And that's not what we see. Chandrayaan-3 moon mission, yay! Be a cool poster to have, though, wouldn't it? India's Pride. That's the person who wrote the piece. Crazy. It's sad. Like I said, when China went up on the moon, garbage. It looked worse than anything NASA's ever put out. I like this one, taking out the trash. Here's how private companies could be vital for space debris removal. What, you're doing that now? How much junk is up there? That's gonna be crazy trying to do that. News Drifter, great question. He said, why can't they rotate the camera 360 degrees with a wide field lens? We pay all this money and effort to get all of the way to the moon, and we can't even get some decent photos. Been the question I've been asking for years. Even back in the day when the moon missions, the Apollo missions, they had Hasselblad cameras. They were like cutting edge for the time, and I think they still make cameras to this day. Cutting edge, don't get me wrong, it's film, so it's basically analog. Film, they were still better when they didn't manipulate the photos. When you see them taking photos of the next to near to them, crystal clear. Absolutely crystal clear. You're not going to tell me they can't adjust a camera to take a faraway photo. And you know they can. These things were designed specifically to be up there, specifically designed to probably shield out the radiation, because obviously we got film inside there. Radiation coming into that film is going to literally kill them. So they've been shielded, so on and so forth. And yet, a lot of the photos were crap. At least the background was, because they didn't want you to see what was in the background. Obviously, they're not going to stand next to an item because they don't want to blur it out right there. So it would make sense. Let me back away from the item, get way back, take a photo of it, because I wasn't right on top of it. It's not quite clear enough, folks. And that was their way to do that. Yeah, exactly. Mimi, you said we normal people get the crappy pictures, pretty much. Dan Caprillas, you said maybe the low the quality to keep pretending to be yeah, exactly. They're pretending to be a poor developing nation. And like I said, you and I can go out and get a really good camera. I mean, something like 8K, 4K, slamming photos. Again, I can go with the stream. I can go with that. But the technology now is so good that it's not even funny. Now, don't get me wrong. Maybe they blew the video up somehow and it looks like that crappy, but I don't buy that. You can see the compression artifacts as this thing's playing. So when it stops, you can see it get clear. Makes sense. Because there's no movement. Second it starts to move, refresh rate's garbage, so yeah, it's going to look like trash. So I get that. But again, record it, give it up to the people the next day. You won't see that. Won't do it. Phil C. said Hasselblad still makes cameras today. My phone is equipped with their tech and it takes amazing pictures. There you go. Yep. News Drifter, he said 6 U.S. rovers on the moon, on Mars, 0 on the moon. Nothing to see there, I guess, that we know of. But yeah, like I said, the reason why we don't have more and more, rovers up there. Now, of course, you got India and China sending them up there. The reason why we don't have them up there, or at least more of them, is because I believe we're already up there. We kept going, after they said, okay, the Apollo missions are done on this Apollo 17, we're done. The funding sucks. We can't be, that's bull. They kept going, I almost promise you. So they don't need to do that. They're there hands-on, and, like I said, they don't need to send a rover. Like back in the day when you had, the United States going, you had the Soviet Union when they had the Lunar go up there. I forget how far that thing roamed. It was like a mile and a half, I think it was, maybe even more. Just traveled around. It's like, wait a minute, what are you traveling around for? It's basically, they said, well, we're not going to send a man, so we'll send a machine. But you can bet they sent the best cameras, at least at that time, up there. They're not going to send a subpar, blasé piece of trash camera. They're going to use the best they have at their time. So, like I said, even in the late 60s, early 70s, during the Apollo missions, they had the Hasselblad. They were pretty darn good cameras. They weren't trash. They weren't trash by any sense. And yet they want you to believe today they can't bring better cameras. Come on. Big Truck, you said, be looking out for more of your videos in the future. Take care, Chris. I appreciate you there, Big Truck, and I appreciate your support as always. Like I said, folks, we will have, the second I get off this live stream, I got a video for you folks I'm going to post. What we're going to do is go, boom, public, posted. So stay tuned for that, because this one here is pretty interesting. This is one from the United Arab Emirates, so the UAE, I'm sorry. It's got to do with the Mars and the moon and stuff like that. Well, one moon, because we have Deimos, or Deimos, depending how you want to pronounce it, and Phobos, right? Well, just see what I'm talking about. That's going to be immediately posted after this live feed, so stay tuned for that. It's already up there, ready to rock. I just didn't want to put it on prior because it would mess everybody up when they go on the live feed. So I got that surprise for you folks as well. So I told you guys we'll be making more videos as well as podcasts. Try to do what I can. Critter Bonner says, smash that like button, folks. Wow! Hammer time. Oh, let's see. Yuri Kono, from, I believe that's correct. AI uses models, image database. If it doesn't have a model, it renders crap like the Jimmy piece and pick generally. Artificial artifacts, false texture, false straight lines, and garbage for Mars images. Yeah, pretty much. Like I said, if you have a really good photo that's from Mars, it will actually make it look better. No doubt in my mind. I've already done this. I've messed with this software. If you have anything that's been really, really gone through as far as manipulation, centering, or whatever, it just feathers the photos or feathers the edges. Doesn't do it to all the photo, but you can see where it's really, really been doctored, because some areas would be more enhanced and some of them look like more like garbage, and going, what is going on here? So this is the reason why it's got to be really, you got to be really choosy on how you use this AI. And I'm not a big fan because I don't want a false photo. I want the real deal. Now, if I was to show you photos of that, meaning of a certain picture, I can literally do a side-by-side. I may do that just for the heck of it to show you guys about AI and how well this works. And for some photos, it just does not. So you got to be really careful. It's kind of like when I do my techniques, when I'm like pulling apart a Mars or moon photo, some techniques apply, some do not. If you try to use the same techniques on either or, meaning moon or Mars, it will completely look like trash. So there's different applications for different photos, how much has been manipulated, how bright it is, so on and so forth. And you just have to just roll with it, change with it. AI just goes, boom, you go, okay, that's it. To a certain degree. Because there is different filters you can use, and I've toyed with all of them. Some of them make the photos look so bad, it's not even funny. And I've seen them. I've seen one of them from, actually more than a few, from NASA, where these things look like complete garbage. And I mean garbage. So I'm not a big fan in some ways I am. And like I said, I'll probably do a video on that anyway, just to show you folks that. There you go, Bush Corey. They used a potato as a camera, pretty much. Let's see. It jumped on me here. Let me go back. Okay. And News Drifter, too. You were saying the 6 rovers. I'm trying to think of the 6th one because we have the Sojourner, Spirit, Opportunity, Curiosity, and now the newest one. So that's 5. Now, we do have the Ingenuity helicopter. So there's only really 5. But if you go back, there's actually one prior to that. And I think the Soviet Union put this up there. It literally looked like a walking toy. It was tethered to the lander, and it literally went like this. It walked like this. It would literally, and of course, they can make it turn and stuff like that, but I forget what that thing was called. I did a video on this thing years ago. If you want to call it a rover or something that walked about the surface. Yeah. Let me see. I was just trying to look this up real quick. In case there was something I overlooked, meaning prior to even Sojourner, which was 97, like I said, you got Opportunity and Spirit was in 2004, Curiosity in 2012, 2020 was Perseverance, and of course we had the helicopter. So you should have 5. But there was one, let me put this on here. See if it'll find it. So they're saying that was the first one. It was a Mars Pathfinder, which is a Sojourner rover. It had the lander as well as the rover. But there was one, and they're not going to show it either. It was this weird, goofy thing that walked on. Okay. There have also been studies for possible human mission to Mars, including a landing, but none have been attempted. Soviet Union's Mars 3, which landed in 1971, was the first successful Mars landing. As of 2023, the Soviet Union, United States, and China have conducted Mars landings successfully. See, they're saying... Okay, so now this is weird. Okay, so I'm not sure if they get this. It said something like 7 lunar rovers, 7 Mars rovers, and 3 asteroid rovers. What? Now I'm a little confused. Oh, okay. So this is just showing. Okay, that's why. That one is for the moon because it's showing the lunar card. Let me see here. Not yet. We've been sent to rover land. Okay. Listen. I'll give you three guesses what that is. No, and it's not an earthquake. Taff, Derek Baker, what's going on? He said, hi, guys. What's happening? Good to see you in there, Taff. Stephen Porter, what's happening? Hi, Chris. It's been a long time since I've hung out with you guys. Hope you're all doing well. Steve Porter. Yeah, I am. Steve, I hope you're doing well as well. Good to have you in there. It's been a while. Again, I hope you're doing well. Omnimar, Shivya, I think it is Shivya. Pardon me if I butchered that a little bit. I noticed that the Chandrayaan, I guess it's supposed to be 3 images, are similar to the JAXA and NASA, which is Japan and NASA, share. How are they able to make all of these images look the same, like hiding stuff? Well, what it comes down to is they're using the very same techniques. And if they are working together, which a lot of them are, they're all the same they're all bedfellows, they're all sharing the same software. So because it'll seem a little odd. Let's say we're all different countries. I put one out on the moon, it looks pretty pristine. The next one puts it out and say, and theirs look like garbage. They're going to go, okay, so are you telling me this country only has the best cameras and nobody else can get a better camera? It looks like trash. You're going to start to red flag these things. Of course, we red flag them anyway, but that's beside the point. You know what I'm saying, right? So at some point, they're going to probably say, listen, we're going to use the same techniques to hide whatever we can so nobody's none the wiser. And that's what they're doing, I think. Let me see. I'm trying to find this thing. It's really driving me insane. Yeah, it's saying 5 right now, but as far as the regular rovers, right? Sojourner, Spirit, Opportunity, Curiosity, Perseverance, is what I have said. I can't remember the very first. Let me see. It's driving me crazy because I'm trying to find out. Oops. Let me do this. I think I got a better way to do this. It may say it. All right, let me see if this shows any results. No, it's not there. Anyway, this thing was goofy. It's a little walking little thing. It literally, just like I said, looked like a toy. It would literally walk like this, and it could turn it because of that, and it was tethered to the actual, what do you call it, lander. And I believe it was the Soviet Union that put it up there, but obviously it wasn't worth the darn because it wouldn't go anywhere. It's tethered. And the lander itself had its own cameras. I'm not, Mar. He said, your question was, do you think the images are doctored before they even reach Earth? And to the scientist, I'm going to say that these things, there's 2 ways this could happen. One, these photos are encrypted. In other words, the rover encrypts the information, so they may be distorted when they're being transmitted to Earth, okay, in the event that somebody intercepts them. Okay, of course, you need a really big, radio dish to be able to do that. Okay, so, and then once it hits Earth, they can reverse that, decode it, and then they got the actual photo. Then, and at that point, they process it so the actual person can get it, the public gets it, which are trash. Now, I've always said that people go, well, what's the point of even putting these things out if they're just going to, doctor them up and they're not going to show the real thing? Well, here's the question. Here's the answer to that question. We're not the first ones to see it. There's geologists, NASA scientists, or other scientists around the world that are looking at these photos, technicians, like I said, geologists, all of these people, they're all working for these space programs. They're all analyzing these photos, what they could be made of. Now, of course, they're looking at data, because remember, we have these Perseverance and Curiosity, which shoot lasers, and once they do that, they can tell the composition of the smoke, and they can tell what's in it. So they're getting the data, they're looking at the photos, and they're seeing all this. Then they process these photos and give us the end result, which is absolute trash. Low-res piece of garbage. But I don't think they're low-res. I think they're being overlaid by this misinformation or other information they want the public to see. This is the reason why we see what we see. So the other option is it comes crystal clear from these rovers, and it gets uplinked to the orbiters and then sent back to Earth. And I've said this before. There's an article I read, and I can't find this thing again. But anyway, there's 2 guys that work for NASA. And one of them actually worked at NASA. The other one was just a computer whiz kind of thing. And they were trying to figure out what happened to the Opportunity rover where it just quit working and it wouldn't go forward. It wouldn't do anything. And then what they did was the guy, because again, he's working for NASA. He decides to do a memory dump on this thing to try and then re-upload the software. And then it did start to move forward and start to function correctly. So what the guy did was he analyzed the information and found that he said, wait a minute, why is the DOD involved? Why is there another receiver and transmitter or transceiver on the rover? And this information would come straight back from the X band antenna, which looks like a little mini stop sign. It's a direct flat panel antenna that would transmit straight to Earth. But that thing was also used originally, was supposed to be used for, when it was, when it wasn't transmitting, it would literally just ping and tell Earth directly that it was okay. So even if a lander went, I should say an orbiter went stupid or something like that, it could still send the information by itself. Now, I also believe that once it takes photos, it can directly send this information through that X-band directly to Earth. No relay station, meaning no orbiter. No orbiter. So the information can be just transmitted directly nice and clean, meaning, 100% true photo, because obviously it can just take it, bites at a time until it gets a full high-res photo complete, and then they can just do whatever they got to do once it's here, and they can just, basically mess the photo up for the public. So what was really ironic is they had these images going straight to the DSN, the Deep Space Network, and it would go to 3 hard drives, automatically download them into there, and then it would go to only 3 computers in that whole area. And of course, these people they're going through them, they're checking out the information, the data, whatever. But they found out the DoD was involved, and there was another transceiver. And basically, these are the UHF or the VHF. There was 2 different ones, right? And they would, use them as uplinks and downlinks for from the satellite. So it would get information if it needed software, it would relay it, and so on and so forth. So it's kind of complex, but it's not that complex. So, a lot of these are going to be encrypted. You know that for a fact. They don't want anybody getting these. And of course, you got to know the frequency, decode them. So it just the list goes on. It's just crazy. We don't know if they're partially sent UHF and then the other one's a VHF, partial sent. So it's like every other line of the photo could be like every other one is UHF, VHF, UHF, and then they piece it together. We don't know how they do this, right? Mimi, you're pretty much spot on this. If you want to join the Moon Club, you just have to throw out a good camera and the trash. Sadly, that sounds about right. Let me see. Omnimar, you said, you said the Prime Minister mode, Putin and okay, Xi Jinping have seen the real, oh yeah, absolutely. The actual leaders have, or it's kind of like our president. They're mostly they're a puppet, right? But a lot of these people are involved, like Putin, like I said, any other of these prime ministers or presidents, they're involved and they're in the know. So they know about this. Because here's the thing, too. You have to get funding from somewhere. Unless, of course, they're just blatantly stealing it. But if they need this funding, then chances are the leaders are going to know about it. They've seen this thing crystal clear, anything that's up there. Moon, Mars, otherwise, right? Mimi, he said, I would give my left kidney to see the real pictures. That's a fact. Yeah, exactly, News Drifter. He said maybe they have AI filter and edit the photos on the fly. The rover itself could do that, right? It could literally just, again, encode them or AI them, and then it takes the AI off of it once it's here on Earth. It's received here on Earth, decoded, and then that upper layer taken off so you don't get to see it. Marco Salad, what's happening? He said, greetings from sunny Doncaster. There you go. What's going on? Good to have you in there. Sky Blue, it's good to see you in there as well. He said the AI enhancement is a game changer. What has NASA said about it? Well, I think NASA's been using AI for the longest time, like we were talking about earlier. I don't know when you got in here, but they have been talking about or been using this for the longest time. If you use, I'm probably going to draw a blank on this. If you check out the information on any photo, okay, so you look at the information, like the, what do they call it? Actual information on each photo. It's broken down, right? They can tell you what camera was used, if the flash was on, so on and so forth, right? They've been using this for years. Photoshop. First of all, it used to be GIMP. Then they went to Photoshop, and then they probably said, listen, we can't process these things fast enough. We'll use AI. So they've been using AI for a long time. And I'll tell you when they started using it. Probably about 6 months to a year before Perseverance started showing the photos on Mars. I said this before, and I said, listen, folks, look, here's the real photos of, or the original ones from when we start talking about earlier, rovers, right? So I'm looking at this one day, and I'm saying, what happened to this? Remember I was telling you about the AI that I was messing around with, which is, like I said, it literally feathered the edges of these of the lines. Well, I looked at one of these photos one day, and it's coming from the Curiosity, and I looked and I said, why did this look all feathered? All of a sudden, they started putting this in a different weird. We were just getting the pictures back, and they were just weird, right? And I said, I promise you. Somebody said to me, oh, many people have said this actually. They said, well, when the Perseverance gets up, do you think it's going to be much clearer? I said, nope. They've already changed this. They're already introducing new software. And it's AI, and I believed it was AI back then. They've changed the way the photos look early on. Well, I should say later on, before it's, because Curiosity's still up there, we know that. But it was about a half a year to a year prior to Perseverance going on Mars. Why? Because they didn't want you to go all the way up to the point where Perseverance landed and started showing their photos. It's totally different from the Curiosity. Wait a minute, what the hell changed? So if we can slowly incorporate that to the public and they can see that it's changed a little bit, they won't be asking questions about the Perseverance photos. So they started to do that then. I could see it was like this weird feathering on the rocks. It just looked like trash. Not all of them do, but some of them do, or a good majority now do. So I knew right off the bat this was a game changer, and I don't mean in a good way. They were literally changing the software, and I knew it was going to go right into the from the Curiosity onto Perseverance. I knew it. I knew it was coming. Omnimar, he said, why do leaders, despite knowledge of lunar structures, continue to engage in harmful, like provoking other countries and inciting war or attempting to control other nations? No, just distraction. Think about it. Wait a minute, folks. Now we got a more distraction. COVID's coming back. So this is what I'm talking about. If we can keep you busy watching this hand, you won't see what's going on in this hand. So continue to be, keep people always looking. Oh my God, there's a war in this country. Oh my God, there's fighting in the streets. Oh my God, we got another disease coming out. Oh my God, we got this. It's constant barrage of bull being thrown on the public. Wars that don't even make sense are being made, okay? And if you look up Agenda 21, most of it's pretty decent, but look at some of the stuff that's in there. Crazy, crazy stuff. So it's about keeping the people constantly occupied. And, of course, most people don't care because they're watching the Kardashians, but they don't care. It's like, whatever, if there is, there is. And that's what they're hoping. They're hoping everybody's just dumbed down, stupid, and don't care. Where there's a lot of us that are now beginning to be more privy to it, or at least more understanding and see through the garbage now. So now people are going, oh, we have to do a better job of trying to, hide this stuff. Hence the reason why in Curiosity photos, right before the Perseverance went on Mars, it changed. The software changed. Their techniques have changed. Now you got to roll with it. That's all there is to it. About keeping the public busy, keeping them dumbed down. That's what it's all about. Miss Hurd, you said, sometimes I seriously believe these aliens piloting their craft here on Earth are not friendly, nor our friends. Too much tragedy going on here, human evil, massive wildfires, droughts, floods. Well, they probably have that, what is it, they have this understanding, do not mess with, a civilization. Let it run its course type thing. And it kind of makes sense to do that, right? Let them do, if they're going to kill each other off, then let them kill each other off. That's the way they look at it. Me personally, I don't think they're bad. Unless they are and they're just observing, they're just hoping we'll kill each other off. Who knows? Because if they, like I said, if they have the power to travel here, or if they're even here underground or in our oceans, they're probably just going, hey, listen, we don't care what happens as long as they don't annihilate the whole planet because we're all screwed. But on the other side of the token, you're going, Okay, if they're coming from far, far away and they're just observing, if they can come that far away, they can obliterate this planet. They can do anything they want to it. A couple of diseases that our bodies can't handle, take out the population. Who knows? But then we got the governments around the world doing that anyway with these diseases, this COVID-19 kind of thing going on. So let's see how many hundreds of thousands we can kill off. And now it's coming back. So was in the elections, funny enough. But we see that happening. Be more shutdowns. People got to stay in their houses, all this other stuff. I wouldn't give into it this time. It's a bunch of crap. But that's the plan. Every darn time. But like I said, I think it's just there to just preoccupy the people. ANOMALIES said, if moon structures exist, are there structures on celestial bodies? Could there be hidden structures on Earth we're unaware of? Absolutely. And we wouldn't know it. They could be underground, like I was just saying, under our deepest seas. And I think the government's aware of that because we do have ground penetrating, radar and, well, of course it can only penetrate so far. We know that, right? We got lidar, radar, we got all of those, right? So we can only see so far in the ground. But they're probably aware, and I know they are, because if they're aware of what's on the moon and Mars, then they've been pretty much everywhere. Even if they haven't stepped foot or put a satellite around the planet, we still have pretty darn good, telescopes. Hubble, James Webb. All they got to do is point it at one of these planets. They can see right onto the ground probably and know exactly what's there. We don't even have to send a satellite there, an orbiter or any of that sort. We can do it with ease. So, Yuri Kono, he said the obfuscation is embedded HDR yellow filter perseverance. Yep. Yeah, and if you can strip away some of these filters or some of the stuff they put on, this is the reason why I go into these raw filters, right? You got, like I used in this next video, we used a cyan plate, which is basically raw parts of the photo. So basically you're taking away the other, layers of information. You're just taking one and trying to see below the other filters. And you can bring out some amazing things. Like I bring out a lot of what's going on, a lot of centering in this next video. It's plain as day. You can see it as plain as day. Compression artifacts, my butt. There's no way. When you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's comical actually, but it's not that it's new that we knew that they were doing this. It's just it's how they play the people so badly, the public. It's sad. Yep, Valerian, they want you distracted. Kurt Abani said the COVID infection. Yeah, pretty much. Bush Corey, you said, anyone see that Sean James interview with the whistleblower from the Antarctica base? Yeah, I think I've seen that. Pretty interesting. Not sure how true that is. I'm not really sure. But I've seen a couple of them where they talk about what's on, in Antarctica. I'll get it out, I promise. And all that other good stuff. And it's not like we haven't really pulled apart a lot of those photos anyway, which I still have to get on those. I've got a couple more. We're going to pull those apart too. Really interesting stuff. And there's a lot going on in Antarctica, and it's not just our bases, military bases, that is. Mimi Reaction said, what happened to the train which went off the rails and spilled toxic fuel into a river? The whole city got intoxicated. Well, I was going to say intoxicated, get it? But contaminated. Yeah, absolutely. Miss Urge said, if there is a galactic federation, I have read about it. These alien beings, if they truly exist, don't give two rats' tails about us. Well, no, because they're looking at us like, oh, that's so cute. Like I said before, look at they're still riding on top of firecrackers, and they're still doing this. Now, don't get me wrong. I believe on the Black Ops we have much more than just rockets, right? Anti-gravitics, all of this crazy stuff. So I think that is totally different. They're just showing the public, this is all we got right now, folks. We just have rockets. We're doing the best we can. We should be able to get to Mars in, 9 or 6 months or 7 months, whatever it is, when they can get there much faster. They can lie to the public, and of course, we're going to go, okay. But tell me how many people, like I said before, that can say to you, hey, if you ask them, how many rovers have been on Mars? Can't answer it. And if they go, no, I remember there was one just recently, wasn't there? And you go, yeah. And they go, can you name it? No. Do you know what came up there with the rover? No. What do you mean came up there? Yeah, there's something else that came up there. It was like another piece of equipment. Couldn't tell you. Would not be able to tell you. And that's why the government is getting away with it. If all people started to stand up and take notice, and more people started to raise questions and start bombarding their governors and stuff like that, and they're pressuring them because some of the governors are on board with this. They know what's going on. So, it's just a question of time when that, really start at it. You know what I mean? Keep at it till something gives. Simply Steve, yep, it's the election strain this time. Yep. Omnimar, yes, it was. It was COVID intentionally released, and we're all countries aware of it, possibly a population control measure. Oh, yeah, it's definitely a control measure. There's no doubt about it. And I've said this before, it's the amount of people that have been taken out by disease is insane, right? But I've also went a step further. I said what people don't realize is that it's taken out generations of people. So you have people that were, let's say, I'm going to say a 25-year-old woman, okay? Complications, died from it, God forbid. But this happens. She'll never have children because she's no longer there. Their children will no longer have children. But guess what? Those children, which would have used gas, had cars on the road, maybe have been on welfare, we don't know. They're not a strain on society anymore. They're not part of the population. So if we can drop down the population, here's the thing. Are we going to use up all of our resources, food, mostly food, and, of course, oil, gas, all that stuff, which is one and the same, but you get the idea. So if we were to knock down these people, and, of course, there was thousands, if we were to kill these many people, and, of course, their generations after them, we just saved on Social Security. We just saved on, like I said, food consumption, maybe, work, taking money from the government, whatever. The point is, they've just saved themselves billions upon billions of dollars. But here's the thing. Here's my question to you, because some people say, well, I don't know if that's true. Let me just pose this, and I've said this before. I asked the same question. If nobody ever died of a disease other than old age, what do you think the population would look like now? What's the top killers? We've got anything from car wrecks, cancer, AIDS. I mean, the list goes on and on. Of course, your yearly diseases, whether it's fevers, diseases, regular diseases, so on and so forth. I mean, the list goes on, right? So all these people, a lot of people die every year from complications anyway. But if we were to enhance that and accelerate that, we can kill off more people. We're good. Now, again, you kind of get it, but it's so evil, man. It's just like, because again, if nobody died other than old age, people would be here constant. Nobody died of accidents. It would just be like, can you imagine the population right now and more of a strain on the food chain or the food itself? Can't grow it enough, can't grow it fast enough, can't kill it off fast enough to produce more food, so on and so forth. You got to look at it from that. You got to look at it from that point of view. There's got to be a fine balance. Now, nobody agrees with having to kill people off. That's ridiculous. However, but you can understand, it can't tip too far because a civilization can implode on itself. You can get too big as a civilization and implode on yourself. And that's what scientists have talked about. Els Van Hage, she said, COVID on the moon, la-da-da. COVID in space, la-da-da. Anyways, I'm not amused by their silly plan. Of course not. It's absolutely diabolical, man. It's crazy. Stefan, you said 2 departments in space. The public face is NASA. The private face is the military, which have been to the moon many times since the Apollo mission. Oh, yeah, 100%. And I believe there's actually and I believe there's moon bases already on there from us. Yep. Valerian, you said first disclosure in the Book of Enoch. Yep. Thomas Stone, you said, I would love more videos. I don't get on here as often as I would like. Oh, yeah. Like I said, as soon as this live feed's over, I'm going to post a new video anyway. So people will get to check that out as well. Yeah, Mimi, you're right. Childbirth was the #1 killer for women back then. Also diseases too, right? Black plague, bubonic plague, all of these plagues, right? They had no way to defeat them. So people died by the thousands, right? Now we've come a lot further. So they're like, okay, so this is the reason why you don't really see a cure for cancer. It's one of the #1 killers here on the planet. If we were to completely take out cancer, which incidentally people are saying ivermectin, but you didn't hear that from me. But anyway, say it'll kill off many forms of cancers. But regardless of that, if we can kill people off, we don't have to worry about what? Overpopulation. Because just imagine this. If there was no death other than old age, even car accidents were slim. Because in the future, we'll have self-driving cars and they'll be perfected, not as they are now. A lot of them are in beta form. But they'll be perfected. And then less car accidents, so on and so forth. Now, don't get me wrong, you'll always have something, but you know what I'm saying. People will live longer, better medical, stuff like that. So people are getting, they're killing off these things. But if they were to do that, it throws off the balance. So we're gonna keep cancer because we don't want, we just want to keep the population being curved. We're not going to treat it because, we just can't figure it out yet how to treat that, which is BS. But they know how to treat it, and, like I said, it's one of the #1 killers here on the earth is just cancer. Long Island, New York, $13.95. What's going on? Good to have you in there, man. Wish I saw from the start. Anyone else see George Knapp on Joe Rogan the other day? No, I actually haven't seen it. I'll have to check that out. There we go. We shall be eating crickets and other insects. Delicious. Christine, you said they are just investigating to see what can be mined there. I think there is also, this is so obvious. What annoys me is all the trash they leave behind. Well, that's true too. Omnimar, another good question. You said, who holds the authority among the world's top leaders to make decisions regarding population control? I think there's an elite. There's an elite bunch of people. So just envision a pyramid, okay? So you get the very higher up at the apex. This elite group, and then, of course, it just goes down from there. So every country has their leaders and everything else. They get dictated what's going to go on and what's going to happen. So, and whether they do it directly or not, meaning to the leaders, they still do it behind the scenes, and they know how to do it. Whether it's poisoning food, which kicks off cancer in your body, because you already have the cancer cell in your body. It just triggers it, right? So it's all kinds of things like that that's against humanity. It's how to kill people off. This is the reason why a lot of people are going, I'm just not going to eat out anymore. I'm just going to just grow my own food, and that's it. And that's probably the only way to get away with it. Although at some point they'll just go, just poison the seeds. So when you get them, you plant them, you're still poisoned. So there's just no way around it if you really think about it. But, there's an elite of people the actual people that own this planet, and they have to say. They just make it happen behind the scenes. Presidents are not even aware of it. If they are, they should be shot and killed too. Oop, did I say that out loud? Simply Stevie said, I say the pop will be well over a $10 billion, yet there'd still be enough room and food for all. I don't know. At some point, because you got to remember too, droughts every year, fires happening. Some people say some of these are deliberately lit in whole, and I'm talking about farm areas where it drives the price of food up. People can't afford it. Excuse me. So, you know, when you stop and think about that, the more the population, like I said, more consumption of oil and all kinds of stuff like that, you're basically draining the planet dry. And I don't mean completely, because there'll always be oil to a certain degree, right? This is the reason why they want to go all electric, which is not completely feasible yet. There's just no way around that. It's not going to happen. Well, they're going to try to make it happen, but there's no way around that. You know, they're trying like hell, and I don't see. There's a lot of areas out there that just doesn't have the infrastructure nor the power plants to be able to do that. But anyway, that's another story in itself. But to me, it's just like, if you can slow the growth of the population, then the better you are. In other words, you can have the farmlands grow up and start producing too, so it can actually match the population growth. And if you overexceed that, at some point it's going to fall on its face. There's no way around it. Like you had, let's say you and the wife, you're at home and you just live alone. All of a sudden, you know, maybe you're on a budget. All of a sudden, 3 kids come home. Well, we can't afford our apartment, this, that, and the other. All of a sudden, they eat your food. At some point, you're going to run out. Guys, stop eating so much damn food. I mean, you know, we only have enough for, you know, us, and now we don't care to share because obviously our kids, but now you're eating us out of house and home. We can't afford to get more food. Kind of a small version of it, but that's basically in a nutshell. This thing just jumped on me here. Yeah, Russell Romag, yep. He said Georgia Guidestone said $500 million at most. That's what it said. Now, we don't know if that's the ultimate plan. $500 million ain't anything, right? But that seems like a really small number when you think about it, right? Because we're up to, what, $8 billion or something like that right now? So it seems like a really small number, but if what's happening right now, we're going into like a pole shift right now, that might happen faster than we think. It's going to basically reset population anyway in like 2034, 2040. So at some point, the Earth has its way of, what's the word I want to use? Repopulating or cutting it down, which is really weird. Yeah, Long Island, yep. The Georgia Guidestones were blown up by someone, yep. Remember that? They showed them literally exploding. They were taking off with their vehicle. Enrico, you said, I'm scared half the population are ETs. Nothing would surprise me there. Long Island, you said aliens and UFOs are like fingers reaching out and reaching in a fishbowl. That's a good question, Mimi. He said, I wonder if the people who rule the Earth are also ruled by a higher civilization in return. That could be. Or they just know that to stay safe, meaning still have food for all and still be able to have a balanced civilization, they're just doing it on their own. I can't imagine a civilization going, yeah, kill off half your population. You know, that would seem crazy, right? So, I don't know. I mean, it's a good question, though. Let me go back down here. Valerian, you said, heard a big CME going to hit on the 7th or the 8th. Yeah, I mean, you always have those hitting Earth anyway, right? Coronal mass ejection is what that means. We always have that anyway. Now, sometimes it will literally fry like it did to a couple of Elon's little satellites for internet have been taken down. They've been literally burnt up, which I'm surprised they weren't made better, like more insulated towards, CMEs and stuff. But just takes one good one. Now, the government is already prepared for that. So, in other words, if we should get a real bad CME and it literally takes out everything on the earth and everything just goes dark, it's basically the population is thrown back into the ice ages, or dark ages, I should say. And but they'll still continue to go, which is good because it can help bring back or rebuild the population. If you don't, you're pretty much, that's it, you're done. So you have to figure a way to get, how do you get equipment, of course, depends. It's really weird. Let's say a power plant goes down and, of course, everything gets burned up in your house because it's all electronic, and basically these CMEs are just going to basically singe anything that's electronic or electric. So even if you got your power turned back on, would everything turn back on? But the power plants would probably be okay if they can get parts and then not burn back up. They can try to rebuild. But how do you rebuild? Wait a minute, we got to use a tractor to move this big transformer. Oh, can't do that. It's completely dead too. Oh, can't use that. That's dead. So there's so many things that people rely on as far as, electronics, as well as, which are on engines and stuff like that. And everything we use in our lifetime, or our daily lives, I should say. So, yeah, it would pretty much put us back in the dark ages. Els Van Heij, he said, it seems you can do without food anyway, strange as it sounds. Well, you can only do without for several days. Water, I think you can have for like 7, I forget what it was. You're going to have within an X amount of time. Long Island, New York, he said the Guidestones could have been put up by religious nuts. That's a fact, too. I don't think they even know who put that up. Or those up, I should say. Mimi Reacts, she said, they monitor us very closely. If we mess up in space, they're going to whoop our butts. Well, and that may very well be, but I think they already have a treaty, a space treaty, to stop any of that. So, they're like, listen, you guys want to war and be like a bunch of cannibals and everything else. Well, not cannibals, but actual, what do you call it? You just want to be warmongers and just fight amongst yourselves and kill each other off. By all means, we're not going to stop your, I don't know if I'd want to call it moving forward, because that clearly isn't it, but because you seem to be going backwards. But we're not going to get in your way. That's what you people do on this planet. But don't bring that crap out in space. We're not having it. And I can understand that. Like I said, to me, it needs an intervention, this race of us. Land everywhere on the planet and just break it down for us. At the same time, it just broadcast. What is this? Looks like a little gnat or something in here. Broadcast all over the planet in whatever language, and say, listen, you're part of something much larger. Grow up. Stop warring with each other. And this goes for you military. You people are in charge of your military. Please grow up, or we're going to incinerate you. As far as the military, just stop. I mean, at some point, you people have to grow up. You have to progress and evolve. If you can't do that, you might get erased. I don't know. That's pretty much spot on too, Steve. He said half the world is starving and the other half eats too much or waste too much. MG Toy said, yeah, and the government keeps paying farmers not to grow food, which is really weird, right? Now, I know a lot of these countries, I believe China is like buying up golf courses and farmland, and some people are just buying up farmland left and right. What is the point? You know what I mean? And if you're not going to use these farms anymore, it gets even worse for the population, unless everything at some point is going to be synthetically grown, which is not going to be good for us at all. So there has to be an answer to this. You can you can basically eat the planet to the point where, eat everything on the planet to where you just stop running out of food, and then, then it's going to turn into cannibals, and then we're going to have Soylent Green all over. Where, a bottle or like a jar of olives are like $500. Because when it becomes in demand, like gas, what does it do? It goes through the roof. But food is going to be even worse, and you have to have food, no doubt. Yep. Simply Steve, you said control the food supply and you control the people. Well, I mean, there's some things you could do without, right? If they said the gas was too high, I would just, okay, I got an electric scooter. I'll just ride that to work, or I'll walk to wherever, or whatever. You can do without that. You can get transportation one way or the other. If you have to use a bike at 21 speed to get to work, who cares as long as you can do it? Can't do it without food. You just can't do it. You can try. You know what I mean? So, there's just some things you can't live without. News drifter. Stockpile Twinkies. They never go bad. Not even in a nuclear holocaust. Where's Gort when you need him? No doubt. Definitely use it don't get me wrong, we depend on the military to protect us, but what good is it if they're defenseless against UFOs and stuff? Think about that for a minute. And if the DOD is literally hiding the fact that there's life on other planets, who do you trust anymore? You know what I mean? But they can't just come out and say, oh, by the way, there's another civilization out there, and we know it. We've seen it. We've actually talked to them, and they're much more advanced than us. Then they look weak. People are going to want to know. I want to know who these people are. Can we talk to them? Whatever. And it's like, well, they're more advanced than us. Oh yeah. How weak are we compared to us? Oh, we don't want to say that because they know that people will rebel. And it's like, well, if you're that weak, we're scared. Jock Britain. Love from Scotland, folks. Hey, what's going on? Jock, good to see you in there. All the way from Scotland. Awesome. Gene Borsier, what's happening? It's good to see you in there. He said, there's an old saying, if you want to learn how to control people, you need to learn how to control people's fears. There you go. That's why when a lot of them, remember that when this crap came out about 2012? I thought that was so amusing. Because there's a lot of people who want to get, hits and everything else on their channel going, hey, yeah. We can scare people, like the world's going to end and everything's just going to go completely stupid. I'm going, where are people getting this from? And I literally had legit people asking me one time on my live feed, a podcast I had years ago, and they're saying, Chris, do you think that's going to be true? I went, no. They said the Mayans said it was a time for enlightenment and like a rebirth kind of thing. They never said nothing about the world ending, none of that garbage. In fact, when they asked a couple of them, they literally, I had seen a video where they did that. They went over there. So what does that mean for, we believe that the earth is going to come to an end. They actually laughed. They're like, what are you talking about? Oh my God. I said, I don't get it. Russell Romeg is, I am wondering if our UFO tech was tech the Germans found during the 30s and 40s. The UFO sighting happened almost exactly with World War II ending. Well, I mean, if you think about it, we had Roswell, and we were supposed to have gotten, reverse engineered that stuff and had gotten technology from microwaves, fiber optics, all kinds of stuff. It was supposed to be from, a downed UFO. Now, I'm sure other countries, if this happened around the world, other countries got it too. Try to reverse stuff. People were killed in the process. Trying to reverse, engineer these things or whatever, and they literally died from it. It's crazy, right? But that happens. What's up, Gene? Good to see you there, man. I think you commented on one of the videos lately, but I haven't seen you here, and I think it's been a while, hasn't it? Or you just been hiding in the shadows. You also said they said it was a new time of learning and enlightenment, a new way of believing. Yeah, well, and like Valerian said, a time for purification, which is true. It's like a rebirth of yourself. And they never said anything, oh my God, we're all going to die. I'm going, why are these people putting this crap online? Has nothing to do with that. Yeah, Oliver, there you go. It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. News Drift, I think the UFO tech is actually Tesla tech. Yeah. Either way, they're not telling us who it is. Is it somebody from out there? Is it something one of the countries here built? Like I said, I'm kind of, I'm a little dubious about that, because when you think about it, you go, and I've said this before, where you look at the old videos, because there's some black and white ones way back in the day where it had UFOs in it. They look old, clunky, got seams on them and everything else. And every year, every decade later, you see a UFO, it got a little more smooth, a little bit more smaller, a little more aerodynamic. It got a little bit more of this. And I'm going, it looks like something we're building. And we finally come out with something really good, like the Tic Tac and things like that. It seems like it's just ours. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. It could be that we got the tech from a reversed engineered, or, so on and so forth, and we get the tech now. So there is, if that's true, then there's UFOs from other civilizations, okay? Rico, you said CocoCon is supposed to be returning. I mean, of course, if that's written, which I believe it was, how it showed that him, he's like in this UFO type thing, or this rocket, carved in his, it was on the top of a cover of supposedly of his grave. But yeah, I mean, really interesting, the writings on those. I don't know if it was all like a sci-fi back in the day, or that's actually the real thing. Mimi reacts, wasn't it the same time the Mars civilization got destroyed? Like I said, I believe, if you put the pieces together, it happened in 1941. Like I said, there was actually people watching Mars when this happened. Now, this tells me two things. I find it hard to believe that they were just going, why don't we put the telescope towards Mars? Oh, my God, look at the hell just happened. So the only thing I can think of is that this is already planned, and they wanted to make sure they filmed it, and they could see these two explosions in the lower atmosphere, or the upper atmosphere. It doesn't really matter. I think it was a lower atmosphere. And it happened in 1941. Like I said, it makes sense in a way, because you have how many years, because we had to wait so we can go on the planet. We had to wait so many years so that it literally dissipates, radiation, everything else, over a course of time. It would make sense. Now, it wasn't it wasn't a ground strike. It was midair. So it was enough to just go around the whole planet and kill off everything that was alive, but it may not be, It may be so thin that it would dissipate quicker. If you were to hit the ground with it, it's going to be areas that are going to be saturated for hundreds of years, or a lot of years, that you can't live. It'd be non-livable. So if you were to do it on, in the air and do it, it'll spread throughout the atmosphere around the planet and kill anything that's in the planet. But so to me, this could have been done by us. Now, I'm not saying it is. It's pure speculation. But who knows? They probably said, hey, they got no way to protect themselves. We know what to do. Gene, you said, I don't care if aliens are here. I just want to know if they taste like chicken, and does barbecue sauce help? Didn't think of that. Too spindly of arms, though. Their arms are too spindly, so not a whole lot of meat on them. Oliver, you said Tesla was the last of the old technology knowledge of times before. That's true. And I know News Drifter, you were saying the same thing. Yes, we are building them from Nikola Tesla tech. Very well be. And if you think about it, the in the Mahabharata, the Indian text, when they were talking about, making their UFOs, basically it's just rotation in Mercury and so on and so forth, and that's what got the thing lift and everything else. So, this is probably going on for years, and they've been doing this. Steve Garnham, he said Mars oceans wouldn't disappear that quick, though. It depends. I mean, would it be evaporated or vaporized, depending on the blast? Now, unless there was something really large that hit the planet as well at some point, it would literally, if it was the deepest ocean, because we do have Valles Marineris, right, which is basically the whole length of the United States. You can drop the United States in it. It's like the Martian, Grand Canyon kind of thing, but which is pretty long, pretty darn big considering. So, I don't know, man. It's just crazy. But I don't know. I think it could actually be vaporized. It depends, And like I said, unless a large body hit, then of course it just vaporized everything in its path too. So it might have been more than one thing that happened. I don't know. Like I said, we can only purely speculate, right? Rico, you like that, huh? Spindly arms. Yeah, they probably taste like chicken, but not a whole lot to eat. You'd probably starve to death. I'm not. Have you ever heard or ever read the Bhagavad Gita or the Mahabharata? I've read parts of the Mahabharata, right? And I've also talked to my buddy Billy Carson. He said, I know Oppenheimer and many of the Germans at the time were fascinated by it. Yeah, most of them were. Anything to do with their technology, so to speak, and they were reading these Sanskrits, and they were just like, damn. So, yeah, these people were completely, enthralled in it. And so what they were doing was they were probably going, we can build this. I mean, here's the plans to it. You know what I mean? Now, of course, a lot of this is going to go bad because they're trying to build these things. But regardless of that, I think that's where, if you remember, Hitler was really into this stuff. I mean, he'd go to different places. He'd go to Antarctica. He'd go everywhere just to try to gather this up. Once he got wind of any of these countries with this ancient technology, he was all over it. He was all about it. Good, really good question, Corey. He said, if an alien invasion happened tomorrow, would you be prepared? Depends on the invasion. I mean, really. I mean, yeah, if it's an invasion that they're bad, and do you have time to do that? Kind of like an Independence Day, right? But people on the outskirts were safe within reason and for X amount of time. So could you burrow underground? Is there some way you can get away from them? That's a good question. I don't know. Everybody else should try to answer that. What do you think? Would you guys be prepared if there's an alien, invasion? A lot of people just look out there. We're screwed. Just go down with the ship. Rico, you said read the Bhagavad Gita, Come Alive version, has uses. It has uses. It uses decolonized language, and original Sanskrit words totally changed the meaning we've been fed in the West. Yuri said if you want to check out some unexplained alien stuff, Project Coelacanth, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right, 8867. Never heard of it. Or them. Oliver Klein, here we come in peace. Hock. And you'll leave in pieces. Oh, yeah. Gene Borsier, you said, yes, I'm prepared. We have lots of chocolate and barbecue sauce. Oh, and a couple of cases of bring it on, E.T. Oh, my God. That's awesome. Yeah, that's what we need. Just come over here. They just come to the plant and... Good knowing you, folks. But that's all it would take. And Valerian, like I said, I've said the same thing. He said they could have done that a long time ago, meaning invasion. Of course. That's why I don't believe any of that. When they say that they're evil, they can take us over. Okay, why not haven't they done it already? This would be the time. Think about it. It's like I said, I think I used this analogy before. You see a kid that, you were protecting yourself from and, maybe in a schoolyard, you guys getting a couple fist fights and everything else, but you learned he's into some kind of martial art. He's going to get better and better and better. At some point, he's going to kick that ass. I mean, it's as simple as that, right? So what do? Prepare for it. You know what I mean? But what you need to do is whoop him then because he's not as strong. So if you wait, what happens? You're never going to defeat him. So, well, aliens would probably still defeat us anyway, but you don't wait for a civilization to get stronger and stronger, more high-tech, so they can protect themselves. If you want to take over the planet, you do it right now. Because even if we have high-tech we never even heard of, which I'm sure there are, we're just only going to get better, more high-tech, stronger, whatever. So the last thing they want to do is, if they want to kill somebody off, they better be weak. That's the best time to do it, right? Hey, Renee Cruz, what's going on? Good to see you in there. You'd pop in at some point. I know, Rico. It's barbecue sauce. So good. I'm getting hungry. I hear that. Watch SpaceX launch 21 Starlink satellites tonight. Yeah, it's going to be almost completed pretty soon. Boom's supersonic jet moves toward debut flight. Boom Technologies' faster than sound XB-1 jet has completed key milestones on the way to its historic first flight. Image of the Boom Technology. I think this has got the scramjet engine in it and stuff like that too, which is absolutely crazy. The new supersonic jet has completed further milestones on the runway towards its debut faster than sound flight. We already have faster than sound. What are we talking about? Aviation startup Boom Technologies XB-1 demonstrator jet has moved from the hangar in Centennial, Colorado to the Mojave Air and Spaceport in California. At Mojave, the 71-foot long, or 22 meters, carbon composite jet has been undergoing extensive ground testing, the company said in a statement, including testing, so they're just taxiing down the runway. The plane is designed to fly at Mach 2.2, 2 times the sound of speed of sound. Around 1,700 miles per hour or 2,700 kilometers per hour. The first flight will occur over the Mojave Desert in the same patch of airspace where, in October 1947, Chuck Yeager first broke the sound barrier in the Bell X-1 experimental craft. Interesting. Interesting. SpaceX Crew 7 and Crew 6 astronaut missions, live updates. So we know that's going, right? Here we go. NASA's Ingenuity helicopter flies on Mars for the 56th time. Ingenuity covered 1,344 feet, or 410 meters, of ground on the August 26th flight. Okay. NASA's Ingenuity Mars helicopter acquired this image using its navigation camera on its 56th Red Planet flight, which occurred on August 26, 2023. Now, when I see this, am I the only one who sees this? Is this infrared they're taking pictures with? Because why is it always light underneath the, or it seems like it's above of the helicopter? Because you can see the shadow and it's bright on the ground. What would you guys think that is? Oh, yeah. Renee Cruz. Yep. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. Ronald Reagan. Yep. Well, even, yep, Miss Heard got it too. If they give me a parachute and oxygen, I'll fly in the boom. There you go, Russell. Russell, what a nice NASA photo. Well, I mean, it's crazy to think why is it just happen to be super lit up right there? How does that make sense to people? Perseverance view. Okay. Okay, there goes the helicopter. That looks like trash. Okay. Get my head out the way. Whoop, wrong one. Might be. Oh, yeah. Ingenuity just hovering. And back down. Let's see. It's supposed to show a photo of Perseverance. Let's see if it does. Ingenuity captured a view of Perseverance during the flight. So it's up in the air. You can see it way back in the top here. Right up here. Boy, look at that high quality photo right there. Gotta love it. It's not even that far away from the darn Ingenuity. What are we talking about right now? You're not going to tell me they don't have, like I said, this thing is 4K or 8K cameras on these things, and yet that's what it looks like? Come on. I'm not hard. A couple questions. Do you believe that certain agendas or ideologies are promoted by influential figures on Earth to influence the course of humanity, such as promoting transgender people, or children, rather? Well, here's the thing. Again, bring up a topic. Doesn't matter what it is. Keep the people constantly thinking. If it isn't one thing, it's another. Remember back in the day, how many years ago? This wasn't like super long ago, but it's several years ago. It goes way back. When they had was it Michael Jackson had that child, and he had him by one arm off the balcony. Well, not long after that, Janet Jackson had a wardrobe malfunction when was it with Justin Timberlake, was it not? To get the focus off of him. This is no different. I don't care what it is. Like I said, wars, like I said, transgender, whatever it may be. Keep the people constantly thinking, keep their brains busy. We don't want critically thinking people. We just want people to just go with the flow. You know, they can complain and everything else. We don't care. We just don't care. As long as we keep them busy, it keeps them down, keeps the sheep down, and everybody's happy. When, again, you know, again, don't worry about this hand here. Just pay attention to his right hand. Don't worry. It'll be all right. So the idea is to just keep people busy. That's what it comes down to. And, yeah, I mean, it does, depending on how the situation takes off, it'll definitely have some kind of, change of course or influence, like you're saying, the course of humanity. It always seems like it gets in the worst situation, though. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be any topic. It just always seems to go south. It always seems to go bad. There's never a good thing that comes out of it, right? So, that's why I said in some ways, unless they do something completely drastic, I can't see this planet getting better, man. There's no way. When you look around, like I said, you go to like Rodeo Drive, 2 blocks away from homeless city, tent cities everywhere. Now it's becoming this huge plague, if you will, and I'm not sure I'd call it a plague, but is this, they're all on these weird drugs that eat flesh and everything else. And this is our humanity. And nobody cares. This is the reason why people argue, and they get a great argument when they say, oh, we're busy going to Mars, spending billions of dollars, and we could put it here. And they're absolutely right. Absolutely right. But again, they're thinking of the big picture. And the big picture is, if we ever got hit by a rock or an EMP or something that we can't get out of, then the human race stops right there. It just stops, period. So we won't have to worry about being homeless if we're completely killed off by some kind of natural event or whatever, right? So I see both sides. But, they make a great argument. Renee, you said that we the peeps of the peeps, but peeps is a load of crap. Mm-hmm. Well, some of it makes sense, obviously, but not so much. Not all of it. Gene, you said the question I have is, why does NASA want to send a probe to Ceres in between Mars and Jupiter? These clowns already know what's left on the planet that was destroyed. It's a core from the planet. Well, like I said, I don't think there's been a body, well, you're going to use that term, in our solar system that didn't have some kind of civilization on it. Or if it was one civilization and it was throughout our whole solar system. If it's up to us, listen, we'll go to Mars first, and of course it'll be easiest planet to do that on. And then we'll do more experiments. Like, in other words, because there'll be a lot less air there, or at least higher up in elevation, just like here on Earth. We'll learn how to make fuel from the planet because there'll be water there. Now, most of it's brine. At least they claim it's mostly brine. We'll learn how to make energy and so on and so forth, how we can grow food and so on. And what we'll do is and then we'll learn that's a stepping stone to go to another planet, so on and so forth. If we have to build a dome and live inside it on another planet because the air or the atmosphere is too, toxic for us, we'll live in a dome or underground. Maybe there's resources on that particular planet that we need, so we'll have to live on the planet at some point. If not, then we won't bother with the planet because there's nothing that we need off of it. Why can't we have you run for president in 2024? I'd vote for you. Oh, yeah. Just think of all the deadwood we can get rid of up in Congress. Gerda Bonus, you said I made a better Mars on 3D Studio. Sadly, yeah. Yeah, it almost looks like a pyramid, doesn't it, Russell? But it's like this weird little rock right here. You're saying bottom center of the screen. Come on. Right here. There's actually two of them. One's a little smaller, the other one's a little bigger. But come on. This thing is not that high off the ground. You're not going to tell me it's going to have that lousy of, resolution to look at the rover. It's ridiculous. Back it up. Right here. Nice and crystal clear. Looks pretty good. It's only off the ground. I forget what it is. It's probably like 11 to 30 feet off the ground. And so they zoom into that side or that part of the photo, and it looks completely grainy? Come on. Tim Hughes, he said, hey, good to see you in there, Tim. He said, hey, you guys, I tuned in at 4 a.m., but it's Monday morning, got to work. I hear you, man. Thanks for jumping in there anyway, just giving us a listen, right? Have a good day there, right? Renee, he said, when I was yelling at it, extraterrestrial alien UFO, and it veered to the left, making left turn from its easterly direction of travel as it descended from the sky to the building levels. Oh, my God, what the hell? Valerian the Max says, Chris, 2024. Let's do this. Phil C says, hit thumbs up if you haven't already, please. It helps, folks, the algorithms on YouTube. Anytime you can, always hit the thumbs up on these or on the videos. Definitely does the channel good. I'm sorry. Could you please watch India's Chandrayaan 3 rover spins on the moon video? I am curious to know if you think the footage is doctored. Oh, it's 100%. I've already seen parts of it. Like I said, they've already taken the photo and they called it live, but they've already taken the video and they've already doctored it up, and then they gave it to the people. So it was delayed. And they made it look like, oh, this is right now. This is as we've, as it's going on right now, that we're watching it live. No. This stuff is a bunch of crap. And even if we're wrong, and it is real life, meaning live at that moment, I can honestly say that you can bet it's low res for a reason, so you can't see anything in the distance. You can't see anything of any value or any detail. That's the whole MO, is to hide what's really on there. This is the reason why when they had the InSight lander, and I believe that was from ESA, land on Mars, and I've got the videos on that where it shows, like I said, very first photo they had on the lens, they had a bunch of little dots, like it kicked up a bunch of like soil and hit the screen, meaning the actual camera screen, the what do you call it, the lens, and I'm going, okay, so why is that there? Or is that filter purposely put there so you can't see anything of any value because the focus is going to be all off, right? It's going to be completely off as far as, seeing anything clearly because there's something literally on the lens. So, but we seen brown ground, like a lightish brown or dark brown, and blue sky. Like I said, it wasn't 10 seconds later. They went, everything turned orange on it. And then all of a sudden this dirt was gone. So, wait a minute. Where did the dirt go on the lens? So, they were supposed to have what like the Curiosity have. It's like this orange filter that they literally have it on the side of the lens. It just goes like this. It drops in front and puts everything in orange. When they want true colors, they just raise it up. So it's the same thing that they did there. But they probably screwed up and said, oh, that lens was supposed to be down, guys. So like I said, the people in the control room were saying, oh, my God, look, the sky's blue. And wow, that's pretty cool. Yes, we can see the sky is blue. And not 10 seconds later, it just disappears. It's like, wait a minute. This is how you know they're lying to the public. There's blue skies. I'm telling you right now, there's air there. There's, probably living animals. We've seen things that look like bugs or some kind of motion blur behind something in the sky. There's things flying around up there. I believe there's light there, at least no less than organics. Bush Corey's taking off. Good night, all, and have a great one. Stay safe. Brilliant night, Chris. I appreciate it there, Corey. You have yourself a good one, and thanks for stopping in and commenting and jumping in there as always. You have yourself a good week coming up there, right? Long Island, New York, he said we should go over Callisto and Ganymede and Ceres. Those three places have clear cities and bright lights all over. Well, I mean, I've done the one on Ganymede. That thing took off. And, it's not even about the numbers. It's about how I enhanced it. And there was another guy that was actually pissed off because I got more views than he did. And it was just crazy because what he showed is nothing but but pixelation and compression artifacts when mine did not. And of course, he was really angry. And it's not about a competition thing. And I heard about that through the grapevine and went and listened to him talk, and total buffoon. But it is what it is, right? Tim Hughes has said to check out how dangerous conditions are. Yeah? Well, see, that's the thing too, Tim. I've seen that too. Your question was, if we don't have any problems sending humans back to the moon, then why do we have to send dummies first? Well, because you got to remember, it's new technology, new crafts, stuff like that. So as far as going to the moon, they already know the trajectory and you know all that. So that's not even an issue to them. But because it's new technology, and they want to make sure nobody's going to pay the price, so what they'll do is they'll send dummies regardless. So it's kind of like when they send crash test dummies in cars and trucks and stuff to test it to see what the inertia and just the forces on the body, what it would do to you. So it's no different. They don't want to obviously put a real person in there; they'd be dead meat. But so yeah, I think that's why they do that. No, I'm not. Well, I keep want to say ha, but I'm not Mar. He said, "How's work, Chris?" That's pretty good. Keep him busy. Will you be streaming again next week? I will if I can. If I can't be home, I won't be. But yeah, like I said, we're gonna try to make this like we used to do. It'll be either on Saturday and Sunday. So just look at the community post. You'll see it when you go to the homepage. You can just hit community, and you'll see my updates. So we'll definitely let everybody know what's going on. And you said, what's the schedule at the moment? Well, like I said, I like to make it for Saturdays, but I work on Saturdays. Sometimes it'll be a little longer, sometimes not. So this is where I said, it might be Saturday or Sunday. Most of the time, I can leave early on Saturday because I got my time in anyway during the week, so I can do that. If he has me go to another store, that's going to completely screw everything up. So, it'll be Saturday or Sunday. So either way, and I'm going to try to make it early because I know a lot of you folks, like you're saying, it's Monday already and everything else. But instead of having it for 2, I had it for 1. Try to make it a little bit earlier, but I know a lot of people will probably have tomorrow off, at least in the States. I'm not sure about any other countries, but so they don't have to worry about getting up early in the morning. There you go. Yeah, Long Island, New York. He said, join Mars Discord. And I could probably get that too. You can join the community we got up there. I'll give everybody the code so they can get in and have a look at it. I love this thing when you sign in. It says, "Are you human?" Yeah. It says new login because I'm on a different computer and I'm logging into it. So now I got to actually get the, what do you call it? Let me see if that's the same one. Oh, that's always wonderful. Page not available. Love that. All right. Okay. Oh, I love how you got to do the verification crap and everything else. Go through and jump through hoops here. Okay. Okay, got it. Let's see. Okay. All right. Now we can do it. Whoops. All right. Anybody want to join the Discord? Because we have a lot of good conversation up there. You want to join up there and check it out? Just drop the link right there. You are invited to go in there and check it out. Thanks for reminding me, Long Island. So during the week, if you guys are just chilling, you want to go up there and check it out. Moonder 6, Skywatcher, what's going on? Good to have you in there, man. Didn't even see you in there. Yeah, Omnamar, I should say. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't care to, I hate to give a permanent answer on, Saturday. Because, again, I work it, and sometimes they'll say, well, we need you over here, so you might have to work. But Sundays I never work unless something weird comes up. But so it's going to be either or. And so, again, you can just go to my homepage and then look up the, community post, and I'll write it. Probably closer to Friday, it'll probably be posted. And with that, I'm going to also try to get out more videos because I've got a bunch of them I need to get out. So we'll be doing that too. And if everybody likes what they see on the channel and all of this stuff here, if you want to, hook me up on the channel, you can always go to the top link above in our chat up here. And I've got a PayPal link. There's also one on my homepage you can check out. Has it right there. You can, always enjoy a good cup of coffee or a good drink, if you know what I mean. It always helps out the channel, and it's much appreciated, of course. I said almost every week I get somebody ask me, I really don't want to put anything inside the, the chat. I don't know. I just feel weird about doing it. Is there any other way I can, donate to it? That's the reason why I keep the PayPal link up at the top. And like I said, it helps the channel out big time. New Dawn says, just want to let you know, or just want to say I love your channel. Well, I appreciate that, New Dawn. That's awesome. That is awesome. Let me see. Okay. Moonder Skywatcher, he said, what do you think about the last video from the fly, I know what you mean, the flight MH370 Malaysia with a UFO surrounding it, basically? Well, I seen a video about that, and that's what's weird. And it was the first time I seen it, because they were just saying, how, like, we're just going by what the TV's telling us. And then they were saying that, this flight was flying along, and then, of course, there was something just going around it. And then after that, it just kind of went into, supposedly went into the ocean, right? But they think, some people are speculating it could have been, it went to another dimension or some other crazy thing. But what I want to know is who took the picture of that? If supposedly there was a UFO, right, surrounding it. Because I think I seen a video about that. It looked like it was kind of following around, going around it, and then all of a sudden, you just see it disappear. Who took the photo of that? Nobody even seen it go down. So I'm a little on the sketchy side as far as that goes, right? Well, Larry and the Mac 3 is taking off. Later, Chris, and everyone. Lunch with me mums. All right, man. You have yourself a good one there. Thanks for being here and commenting and jumping in there and all that kind of good stuff. Have a great week coming up. We're going to be doing the same thing. I was actually going to only do like a few hours, but just had to hang with you folks. Just don't get enough time to be able to do it, so I enjoy getting in there. Thomas Stone, missed the videos, you said. One right after this live feed. I'm going to post it. So everybody be aware of that. Then jump on there and, on this live feed especially, you can always, leave a comment. It helps, again, the algorithm. Say great. You can say anything from like great Hangout, podcast, whatever. If you have any questions, you can drop them down there and always give the thumbs up. It always helps the algorithm. Like I said, it gets the channel more noticed. And that's what it's all about, is actually getting truth out, or at least, thought-provoking stuff out, right? So, yeah, there will be a video right after this. Amnamari said, thanks for the Discord. What are your thoughts on the Titan submersible? Supposedly our Navy knew about it the day of the submersible. Oh, okay. I'm not sure what to make of that, truthfully. But I know, I think they had a video of that, and it showed it actually, well, they, like one of them was like an animation. They said how it imploded, right? So, and yeah, and they said something was wrong with that, and these people still went down in this thing, and I'm going, I don't know if I would have done that, man. Either something was compromised in that sub or something, but, you know, if that's true and that all these people really got killed in real life, then it's sad to see that. Gerda Bonner, she said the Malaysia Airlines plane enters warp drive speed on that video. Well, but the thing is, nobody knew what happened to it. They don't even know how it, you know, supposedly disappeared, but yet there's a person taking a video of it. So either they knew that, you know, somebody might have been just flying and maybe they knew this was going to happen. Who knows, right? And they decided to record it. I don't know. Tanks. I like that, Pat. I joined the Discord under the name Tanks. Interesting. The 5-star review says, I love your channel. I see we both wear glasses. Yeah, because I got 20/20, but up close, I might as well be as blind as a bat and use sonar. But yeah. Omnimar, he said, don't ever feel like you need to post videos or have to live stream. Your job and family comes first, and we totally understand. We love you and support you. Well, I appreciate that, but I mean, like I said, it's a hobby of mine anyway, and I enjoy doing it. So I actually get a little frustrated when I'm at work and I got to stay there a little longer. I'm going, man, I want to get these things out. It's something I like doing, and I like to get these things out for you guys. It's just. Like I said, it's just frustrating because you're like, I want to do a live feed, can't do that. So, but like I said, I just want to do it because it's good pastime. It's good to spend time with good folks and everything else, and be able to sit down and chill out and have some. See you guys talking amongst each other. We're talking, getting our thoughts and everything together, and each other's thoughts, and talking about it. I think that's awesome. Tim Houston, he said, we should ask why the Martian moons weren't noticed until 1848. Well, they probably didn't have the best quality lenses on these telescopes either. Keep in mind, they were really crude, right? They were good, don't get me wrong, but compared to now, it's highly polished. It's just unreal the way these lenses are. And there's so much more, forgive the pun, but focused. Meaning everything's just perfectly aligned and everything in these. They're much, much better telescopes. Well, like I said, one of them, I know they said is actually getting closer and closer to Mars, circling in and circling in and circling in. I'm going, and then when they talk about, one of these moons, they're talking about, you'll see it in the next video. I kind of don't want to give it away, but you'll see what I'm talking about. You go, again, pretty cool. But I think it's because of the just lack of really decent technology as far as the telescopes. Oh, yeah. All right. Long Island, New York. I will donate next time when I get a new credit card. I hear that. Hell, I actually put mine away. I went, I don't even want to spend on this thing right now. But, Mimi said plane got transported into a different dimension. If that was true footage, I kind of get that. Because who knows, right? We don't know this weird crap going on around us. We have no idea. Whitebeard Sky Daddy, there he is. Just jumped in, but just actually getting out of here, too. Been floating between sleep and awake for over an hour listening in. Reading chat maybe longer. Very tired from working out in the heat last couple of days. Good show, Chris. Well, I hear you, man. It's like I'm just thankful I actually work indoors, although sometimes you got to be outdoors. But I hear you. It's going to be, like I said, it's going to be low to mid-90s here all week. And I think they said maybe rain Thursday, maybe Friday. So it's going to be just a dry spell kind of thing. And before you know it, temperatures just start to get cooler. And like I said, I don't know about you folks, but they've been saying the models for us in our area are going to be like really, really bad. But like I said, they were saying this for the past 3 or 4 years at least. And I'm going, yeah, whatever. And I'm not complaining if it's warmer and it's just rain. You know, obviously your electric bill or your heat bill, your gas bill is not as bad, right? So I'm not complaining. Long Island, New York. Chris, you should look into the Montauk experiments. I have. Those are pretty cool. And how it relates to the MK Ultra and the Tesla base in Long Island. Also, Brookhaven National Lab, a UFO crashed in the woods in 19... Yep, I remember hearing about that too. The Montauk was pretty interesting. Remember the base, and you can see all of these... if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong on this, but they had basically the old station had the big antennas and stuff like that. Well, dishes, dishes. Pretty cool. All right, let's see. Pete Ferrero, you said for thousands of years, structures on Earth were but with a giant stone, but metal was spied on Mars. Strange? Well, yeah, a little bit. Yep. I know what you meant. You said built. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Well, it seemed to me, too, I think a lot of this, if you look at more and more of these structures on Mars and stuff, it looks like they built into stone, a lot of it. And if you look at Jean's, videos he does, it always looks like this massive stone, almost like the Flintstones, right? It's got a big slab for a roof because you're looking down. It's a satellite photo, most of the ones that he does. And you can see what looks like these round things, or other stones, if you will, on top. And it's almost on top of every one of them. How is that? What's the chances of that? He's had one video, it looked like 6 squares in a row on top of this. How does that make sense? How is there a rock on every single one of these? And they're pretty good size. They could be 20, 30 feet, good size in these structures if they are. And it looks like they build on the side of hills. That doesn't mean that they're low tech. It just means maybe they're smarter and they're going, listen, you get storms, you're protected from that if you're living inside a mountain or into the side of a mountain. You don't have to be in it. But on the side, kind of set in there, underground, and giant stone structures, the wind will not move. So maybe they use the earth, if you know what I mean, the ground, as protection from the sun or the weather or whatever. And that was the way they lived. Now, we'd say, well, Stone Age, that doesn't make much sense. But maybe that's not it at all. They just built into hillsides. And like I said, they just built out of giant stones. And, of course, they're all modern inside. But it looks like, maybe it's camouflage so nobody can see them if they're flying above them. Who knows? I don't know. Pure speculation. But you know what I'm saying, right? All right. We are going to get on off this thing. Going to get a little bite to eat. It's been a pleasure, folks, spending time with you folks. I do appreciate all the support. Doesn't matter what it is. Thumbs up. You want to donate to the PayPal or whatever you want to do. I do greatly appreciate you all. More than anything, I appreciate spending time with you folks and just getting in there and talking about everything we can. Like I said, again, we're going to have a video. I'm going to post it just a second I get off of this. So once this gets off completely and shuts down, I'm going to go ahead and post that video. So you guys can take a look at that if it's still early around your time. And just, like I said, throw it a thumbs up. Appreciate you. We got, 162 thumbs up. If anybody hasn't thrown a thumbs up, please do so. And don't forget to comment under this video once you can actually comment under it. It's always appreciated, too. But I'm going to let everybody go. Have a great, Monday. If you're off, enjoy the Labor Day off, and throw a little steak on the bobby for me, too, while you're at it, because I'll probably do the same when I get out anyway. But everybody have a good weekend. The Monday, if you're off, like I said, be safe. We'll talk to everybody soon. And like I said, the video's coming out the second I get off of this, and there will be more coming up. And I will always let you guys know. I know a couple of times I slipped up and did not say anything, but on the mostly it's going to be on the Friday because I'll know for sure whether I'm going to be doing any kind of work or anything on the Saturday or the Sunday. So just go to the community post on the homepage, and you'll be able to see, if I put anything on there. But I'm going to let everybody go. Thanks for everybody being here. Much love to you all. We'll see you soon. Peace. This stream is now shutting down. Again, everybody stay safe. Have yourself a good one. And we'll see you later.